That's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
That's bullshit. Oh, hey. Hi there. How are you? I'm here on another fucking Tuesday. The Tuesday shows are almost better than the Friday shows. I'm not saying that I'm not a ball python guy anymore. I'm just not a ball python guy anymore. I just don't know what else to say about it other than I've just been asking people again and again every Tuesday, would you do the show? Because it's off topic and it has nothing to do with ball pythons and it's all, designed to get the attention of ball python people or maybe ball python money. I'm pretty sure tonight's guest probably will drive some ball python money attention towards him, especially with what's going on in the climate of his species in the realm of the geckos of the sticky-footed variety from the New Caledonian Islands that seem to be like, I don't know, the cure of cancer is in them or something. I'm sure they said that about ball pythons too. But before I get to everybody in the chat, I see the room is stacking up. There's 15 people in here now and more coming along the way. I'm sure we're going to have a bunch of very eclectic views here tonight, given that this has been the first gecko focused installment of the Ballsh podcast, Off Topic Tuesday. So let me pull up my other screen real quick and I'm going to go through the sponsors of this here shit show and we'll get this show on the road. Reptiles to you. You guys are used to me saying the same thing every week. You listen to it every week. The coupon code BALL, BALL 0922 at checkout gets you another 20% off of the already great and very valuable shipping services that you'll get here from Debbie Price and the rest of the crew at Reptiles to you. So rest assured, there's many people you can ship with. Some are cheaper. Some are more popular in the marketplace with the bros. And some are just better. So I'd just rather ship with the best, regardless of the cost or how good their chest bumps are. So check out Reptiles to you for the absolute best that I could ever really recommend. Morphmarket.com. Man, I've been going through this site trying to figure out what to invest in next. And I don't know. It's not too easy. I can tell you right now that this guy, again, guest tonight, is probably right up my alley of things of thinking about getting out of things that eat rodents and cost so much damn money and getting into something that's, pretty prosperous, like crested geckos. So go on morphmarket.com and check out your favorite ball pythons, crested geckos, boa constrictors, blah, 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 40 different categories now, as well as the stores by morph name, or by name, by store name. Check out your favorite breeder or your favorite species and give Morph Market a try. I used the dashboard today. I'm not going to click it right now because then all my stats will come up to see just how much money Morph Market has sold for me in the years that I've used it to record. And I tell you what, I wish I was recording it a lot earlier. I really do. I wish I was recording all of my sales through Morph Market much earlier. C-SERPENTS, rack systems, incubators, accessories, and stuff. Chris Nettles, thank you very much. I'm about to hit you up after the new year to renew a subscription to a podcast sponsorship. Hopefully you will. I hope all of you sponsors will renew with me after the new year. But so far, it's come along quite well. So thank you very much, Chris at C-SERPENTS and Reptiles to you and Morph Market. Exotics by Nature, that's me. Lots of stuff on there. 184 corn snakes. He even got a lychee on there. Look at that. Even pertinent to tonight's conversation. All my crusteds and gargoyles are all here that are not for sale. USARC.org. Man, get on it. Do it. Help us. Help us win. Help us to defeat the, almighty reptile-hating PETA member, I guess. Bravo Zulu, thanks a lot for your support of the podcast. Always giving you giving your shout outs for our new shows coming up. So, keep sharing these snakes and stuff. Get that page going stronger. Jim LaValle, doing a great job with Ectothermic Dungeon. About to flip that 10,000 followers line. Wish I could get to the 1,000 follower line, but hey guys, while you're bored right now, go hit the subscribe button if you're in the chat and you're not subscribed. Infinite Possible Pythons, Nathan, thank you for your support. John Woodruff, thank you very much for your support of the podcast. Look at it. Look at his calendars filling on up. His shipping calendar every time he ships to a new state. I'm gonna have to order something from you so that you'll fill in Louisiana right here. Cool idea, right? Like to just feel accomplished when you've shipped, snakes all over, whatever, lizards, snakes, rats, whatever, all over the country. That's pretty good stuff. Reptile Collective, Steve Beamer, keeping it going. Scale of stuff this week, and a really nice one, Amarali. Really nice Amarali, Bolivian boa. Fabulous species. Savages, congratulations on that new tattoo shop. He's opening up. So thanks again for supporting the show. I'll be working with you on your tattoo shop stuff here soon, made out of plastic. Shane Kelly, Small Town Exotics. If you didn't catch out our Shane, our very own sponsor Shane, Friday night did the sponsor spotlight with me. Go back and check it out. We had a good time. And finally, Josh Strange, who was on the, I guess revisited his interview with Snakes and a Fat Man. I went and watched it. It wasn't too bad. Josh is coming on the show real soon, and we're going to get a lot out of Josh. I think he's practicing now. So thanks a lot. I'm sure he's in the chat. And now I'm going to bring up the man, the guy I welcomed in for the hour. Hey, what's up, Mr. Anthony Caponetto? Oh, I got you on mute. Hang on a minute. Unmute microphone. Why are you on mute? I don't have you on mute. Can't unmute your guests because they muted themselves. Check your microphone, bro. You think you might have muted it on the screen. It might have moused over it or whatever. We'll get back to you and there you go. Now gotcha. You got it. There you go. All right, StreamYard 101, StreamYard novice. He's new to this whole StreamYard podcasting. How are you tonight, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing well. You had a crazy day, huh?
Oh yeah.
Busy day.
Always.
Busy day. Well, we're going to get to that in a minute. Let's welcome some of these people that have been waiting in the room. So there's Shane, Small Town Exotics, saying first. Yeah, he does that every week. He was in here an hour early just so he could do that. May Reptiles. Yeah, he actually is first. I think he might have set an alarm today. Mike's Monitors. Mike Stefani. Man, I messed up. Thought last night was Tuesday. Well, fuck, man. I don't know what you're drinking, but I wish I had a glass. 4 S's. Thanks for coming by. Will's Hella Heat. Yeah, they're giving me a hard time. What are they giving me a hard time about? Because I got a new female friend in my life, Anthony, and they're telling me that I'm late with these shows now because of her. I'm gonna get on to that. C-SERPENTS, Stan, Strange Creations. What's up? Who else we got? There, that was Quirky. Hello. As soon as Sean got his new girl, these bullshit lives have been getting pushed back. Must be true what Sean says. The best mustache rides that side of New Orleans. Best mustache rides this side of Mars, son. That doesn't get much better than this ride. This ride has a height limit, though. So she barely makes it. She's like 4'11". She barely makes the height limit. But she is 25. I will be clear. She is 25. Anybody, Quirky pipes up and says, anybody knew of anybody producing any really clean?
Too old, Sean.
What's that?
Leo says that's too old. 25.
25 is too old, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, too old. No, yeah. I'll tell you what, 25, I don't know. It's plenty good enough for me. She needs to be a little more motivated in life, though. I think I got to at least get a 30-year-old for that. I don't think the 25-year-olds are even motivated to get up in the morning very often. Hector Garcia, thanks for stopping in. Eric's Morph Factory, if I didn't shout out to you already, I don't even know who I've shouted out to. Stone Age Balls, thanks for being a new Patreon member, bro. I really appreciate that. Bosa, Aaron, pumping up those likes. Thanks a lot, guys. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Listen to this guy right here and make me something one day. Marino, Graham Battison, look at him over. He's all the way over there in the bloody UK. It's fucking like 2 a.m. and shit. There's Graham being up all night. AC is the man. Yeah, he was a great carpet python guy too. And he's got him a ball python guy too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to touch on all of that. Graham goes way back, bro. I mean, this dude's in all kind of shit. We did a podcast too. Me and Graham did one. We reminisced over the last 25 years of reptiles in the UK and America.
That's
Amethyst, good to see you. Corbin must have got home. He works for Roto-Rooter, and he said, man, I'd stop by, but I really smell like shit today. He must have had a bad day at work. You thought you had a bad day today at work, Anthony? Call my boy Corbin and see what way the shit flowed today. Because I'm sure the shit blows up at his job, bro. Roto-Rooter's a nasty job. Marshall Van Thor, old school, in the house. Thanks for coming in. I'm just going to scroll through some more genomic. Fries down there from down under in Australia. It's an afternoon for that fuck. He's got an easy job. He's like listening to this at work. Jason Earl. Look at this. Ledka. There's a guy that's in Moscow right there. That dude's in Russia. So
wow.
Yeah, you got some listeners, but I'm telling you, they come out of the woodwork for my little show. I might not have a lot of people, but I got the fucking fleas of the earth here. Coming out of the fucking cracks, son. Coming out of the cracks. Raven, how you doing? How you feeling? Going through some cancer treatment and stuff. So thoughts are with you, Ray. Hope everything's going well. So yeah, let's get on with the show with you. I think we'll shout out to the last sponsor guy there. Yeah, good stuff. So yeah, people from around the world in here tonight. Surprising.
Looked like it.
Yeah, indeed. How long has it been since you did a podcast?
Oh God. Oh man. Probably 10 years.
Fuck. Was that Reptile Radio? Jesus
Probably.
Christ. Jesus.
So.
Yeah, 10 years ago. Fuck, it'd have to be Reptile Radio. I don't know what else could be. Herp Hooray, maybe. That one was good.
I'm just guessing on the timeline. I don't know.
Right? Yeah.
Crazy. Usually I blow these things off.
You stay busy, sir. I was on the phone with Steve Sykes from GECKOSh, etc. when I pulled up in here today waiting for you. And same story with him. Running an export today. Busy as fuck. Doing all that stuff.
Steve's always busy. I couldn't do it.
I don't know. He likes making that money, but he's also Californian. So where are you located in the world, bro?
Kansas City, Missouri. Well,
Kansas City, Missouri.
Suburbs, yeah.
Suburbs of Kansas City, Missouri has probably got no skin on the game that Steve Sykes has in real estate costs in California. With like 6 buildings.
About real estate. No, I mean, I've got just kind of a temporary warehouse, and it's rent on that warehouse is not even I don't even know if it's in the top 10 in my expenses.
Oh, right. Very little.
Yeah, it's
very low.
Cheap. It's cheap.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying, though. Like you say, Steve is busy. Steve has to be busy, bro. He's got to keep up with the California Joneses. That shit ain't easy.
Yeah. He has, I think, I don't want to speak for him. I think it was maybe 18 people working for him.
Yeah, it's something stupid. I don't know. I don't even know. I'm gonna have him on the show though. We'll talk to him about it then. I was just thinking to myself, the gecko people I know that have done tons of business, that have both enslaved themselves to a lifelong of business and then found a business that's make them comfortable. You've always shocked me as the guy that's been kind of comfortable in what you've made yourself.
Oh yeah.
Am I right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, the first 10 years I wouldn't have said that, and I mean, maybe I would have, but it was a lot of ups and downs. And I think the bigger you grow a business, you kind of become more insulated by that when you build up that big customer base that just keeps coming back. I mean, even when times are slow, I still.
Oh, you still murder it. Yeah. You still have a Rolodex of people you can reach out to make ends meet.
Yeah. I mean, and a lot of channels. I've kind of, wouldn't say ignored retail the last few years, but definitely trying to pretty much stay home dad half the time right now. And so doing that, I pretty much neglected retail and just built, like try to keep all that stuff. And so it's crazy right now, like the direction that's going. And then I'm getting ready to ramp back up on individual sales. But yeah, just in that 3 years I took off to stay home with my boy. I say took off like half the time.
Yeah. We have that luxury of still making a hell of a living being family people when we want to be.
Yeah, that was the first time I've ever done anything like that. I thought I was well overdue.
Oh, for sure, you were well overdue, but you also built it for yourself to be able to do that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah.
in a way,
Yeah,
the whole
I mean,
purpose for it was that.
Yeah, it
leading
took
up to it.
some adjustment for sure. But I didn't even know if I'd be able to actually do this. But so yeah, anyway, I did that. Now it's about to ramp up. But God, just the market, the way it's been and the way we've been growing. Yeah, I mean, I think we had a couple of we did a couple of record years back to back, and I went, I was barely trying as far as retail.
Oh no, you weren't trying at all, especially during COVID-free money.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were
COVID-free money would have been fucking blown the fuck up.
Shut down the big buyer I have shut down shipments for like a week, and everybody freaked out.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, I called the landlord. I called everybody, just let them know shit was about to hit the fan. And then the next week they were like, no, it's back on. Like,
yeah, everything's good, right? Don't worry about it. We're all good. This is fine. We're going to be fine.
Yeah, but
we're going to open right back up.
It went from no orders to
fucking to the floor.
Bring it back on to we need double what you were sending before. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know how.
Yeah, how do you do that?
Do that, but
how do you do that? You don't do that.
Yeah.
You don't like turn a key and double the geckos for a pandemic. You just don't do that.
Yeah, who'd have thought? But anyway, yeah, so the pandemic, for whatever reason, kept me going. Just wholesale.
I think it kept all of us going.
I say I didn't do any retail. I don't know, man. I retailed probably close to half, like dollars wise, half of what I was doing before, but very little effort, just kind of really high end stuff.
Through the website, through Morph Market, where were you mostly getting
stuff? No, like people text me and I just be in the facility, snap some pictures,
and that's it.
This one. But I mean, it was that kind of stuff to where, I'm selling $5,000-$10,000 trios sometimes. So it was like, I kept an eye on what stuff was going for. And I mean, this, like the newest big project that I have, the empty back stuff, that kind of kicked off during this time, from COVID till now. And my God, I mean, they're pretty good. They're getting pretty good fast. So
my daughter and I were looking at the crested gecko groupings on Morph Market today at the prices, and she was so blown away. She's 10, but she understands the value of animals and such. And to see what some of you fuckers are getting for axanthic lilies, axanthics, all of that shit, the cappuccinos, all of that shit is like the zeros behind them are like ball python zeros.
I know. That's shocking to me. I never anticipated that.
I never anticipated we'd have a powdered food for these fucking things, much less see a fucking 5-digit market on them.
I remember when
I'm not jealous. I'm congratulatory to all of you that are involved in it. I'm glad you guys are making the money. I kind of want to be a part of it, but I'm feeling very left out.
That was what the fact that they'll eat. It was baby food back then.
Well, it was baby food when you and I started with
I mixed it with I do like mixed fruit yogurt. Gerber, I think, was a really good one. And then
Alan came out with powder.
Added my vitamins and calcium and stuff, but that was what made me take the leap from. And I didn't like go from one to the other. I still have snakes, but I was always snakes only because of the feeding regimen.
Right.
It was easy. I mean,
you weren't going to do leopard geckos. Right. You weren't going to do leopard geckos or chameleons.
Right. So that was what got my foot in the door and let me try the geckos. And then you can ask anybody that knows me really well. I still bitched about having to feed the crested geckos like 3 days a week.
Oh, yeah.
For like a year. But
you're a snake guy, though. You're kind of a bitch like that.
And I didn't care. And then pretty soon I'm breeding roaches and all this shit that I swore I'd never do. And I was totally fine with it.
Did you go to powdered food when Alan released it?
Or yeah, I jumped all over that. I think I was selling it there for a while.
Oh yeah, I remember talking to him and talking to you, and then you were starting to rack them and harem breed them, and then he started slamming them in like 28 quarts, and I was like, really? You can put them in a 28 quart, or was that you putting them in 28 quarts?
No, was that Mac, John, or was it?
It was either John. Well, it was Alan.
John and Bill both did 28s.
Yeah, Alan, John, and Bill.
I like a big nest box, especially with 3 females, because I run 3 females. Always have, always.
Okay.
But I use a 6 quart
nest.
I used to drill. I bought a drill press and all this stuff to put one
just to put one hole in a fucking box.
Now we just cut the corners out of the lid, and it's so much better. But anyway, I use that 6 quart in there, and then I was using 58s, and I still do a lot of those, but I have used 32s when we get crunched for space.
Right.
You just clean them more often, but I mean, you still pretty much have the same. A 32 is a target, 28 basically.
Right. Yeah, the slightly taller, like the animal plastic height.
Yeah. And it's enough where I have enough crawl space for geckos to get in and out of that nest box. But I still don't like it. I prefer the taller one.
Prefer that tall, like 24 wide, 17, whatever. Like the surface area of a 28 quart, but it's tall, but it's like 20
inches high.
Inches deep. Yeah. I got one in the other room. I'm actually about to build a bunch of racks. Actually, I was running the CNC machine right before we started. That's what I was doing. So
I know, and I've ran like when I didn't have enough males to go around for a certain project. It was only like 1 or 2 at a time, but I would run up to like 5 females on one of those, especially if I was rotating the male. Yeah. You just clean them more often. But I mean,
for sure, they
definitely, like, I was always used to tubs from having snakes, so I've literally never kept crested geckos.
Yeah, you've never gone to that cage mentality of crested geckos, which to me seems like an extreme expense and an insane cleaning habit, like cleaning nightmare to clean like those PVC, not that like pet keepers wouldn't do well with like a gecko junkie cage or something like that.
I use racks for some of my stuff, like lidless.
Yeah.
And I'll do that. But I mean, the cost for caging, even like, what are those, the hybrid, they're part plastic, part screen.
Right. Something like that.
Kind of what Alan was doing.
Well, who was doing that was now a ball python guru that everybody knows and loves from that is Garrick DeMeyer. Remember, Garrick had his whole facility set up with those screen chameleon cages, those Chinese screen cages.
If you keep humidity up, I think those work. God, man.
I always wondered how he did that in that building up there in the cold like that. He must have just had massive humidifiers in there or something.
I run a swamp cooler.
Screen. You run a swamp cooler, yeah.
I mean, like a 6 foot by 6 foot swamp cooler.
Yeah, a big one, right?
Yeah,
a big one.
But it's on a controller that runs kind of like a thermostat and just kicks on when it needs.
That's neat. Is that pulling fresh air in from outside, or is that just recirculating?
No, it pulls from basically the hottest part of the shop, though.
Okay.
Which is up high near the ceiling, above the office, basically.
Okay.
And it gets toasty if you go up there, which means that's nice dry air to be
evacuated out.
Part of like, was it? Yeah, 2 out of 5 of the mini splits went down over the summer. Didn't even hardly notice it with the temperature. I mean, we were
really?
A bit
That's
high,
interesting.
But that swamp cooler really just kicked in.
What temperature do you run the space?
What temperature? Is that what you said?
Yeah, what temp do you run the space there? That's
try to keep it. I prefer it to be during the day, depending on season, 72 to 75, 76. If it's really hot in the summer, 77 maybe. Okay. My babies are in a cooler area. Eggs are in their own room. They're basically in the office where they're kept cooler. But yeah, generally like mid 70s is ideal. I mean, if you stay too hot too long, you'll notice your females get skinny no matter what. Like, I mean, you can pound them with bugs and everything else, and it seems like upper 70s for extended periods without it dropping cool enough at night for long enough. I don't know. But typically at night, I like it to get down maybe a few degrees cooler,
Okay.
3 or 4. So like right now, I'll let it get down to 68 at night. And then during the day tomorrow, it's going to be cold. It'll still be 73, 74 in there probably.
All right.
Yeah, I don't
definitely on the cooler end of
yeah.
I mean, you know, and it's a cool species and it's from a cool rainforest and all that, but the specifics of keeping it in a captive situation, I think there's a lot of people doing crested geckos in a lot of different ways. So
yeah, that's what I was gonna
like
say.
ball pythons too.
I was talking to John Mack and he's running basically like there's hydroponic stuff in the somewhere in there with the geckos, the babies are sitting over tables that are running water basically. I don't know, I haven't seen it, but he was just explaining basically
He wants to be like Bill and come up with some crazy fucking thing. Some crazy fucking thing.
Yeah,
you know, it's got to be some crazy thing because that's what chicken guys do.
That's being filtered,
right?
And so all the feces, everything just drops through a grate in the floor. I don't know.
Wow. But yeah, interesting.
But anyway, he was saying like they get hot, like they get into the 80s in there, and he doesn't have trouble. But it's like I guess if you can keep them like a sauna, because that's what happens to crested geckos when they get hot. They dehydrate. Like I said, though, they get skinny too, and I don't know that there's any way around that.
Right. Well, hey, you got somebody says Zippy here.
Peggy.
I don't know if you know. Yep, you know
hey,
Peggy. There you go. Shout outs to you. Yes, indeed. Figure I'd throw a couple of them up on the screen. Everybody's so quiet, taking in all this Anthony Caponetto. Let me backtrack a little bit, dude. Let's start back in the earlier days of your hobby, since you haven't done a podcast in the last 10 years or whatever, or 15 or however many years it's been. Let's talk about the earlier days of your hobby and your career. Like, you don't have to touch too much on your young years, but when did it start? Did it start young, or were you like me and it's like a teenager thing?
No, it was like catching stuff outside about as far back as I can remember. We had woods that came up to the back of the house, so we always had quite a bit.
Yeah, because you're from there originally, right? You're from Missouri originally.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So yeah, I think my dad caught some ringnecks, and then he waited till I was home. We released them, something like that. And I was really little, but those snakes freaked me out because they were moving fast and they didn't have any arms or legs. And I'm like, I was just dumbstruck by the whole thing, and I never forgot them. And then as soon as the next time I saw, I think it was a toad, it was like it came in with me. My mom, took me and the toad back outside, but it was like I was hooked from early on. And then when I was 7, somebody decided it'd be a good idea to get me a fish tank. So they got me a fish tank and a gift certificate to the pet store. And we went, and of course I picked out like newts, clawed frogs, and a few fish. And then as the clawed frogs got bigger, they were eating the fish, which I thought was super cool. And so we pretty much ended up with just that stuff and like fiddler crabs and stuff like that. But then I wanted a new tank, and I basically manipulated my parents into letting me have extra tanks in the basement of the house. And then I filled those with like all kinds of shit that I would catch outside. And one time I came home with a full-grown bullfrog. And they were like, no. I'm like, come on. And this thing's like just massive. But
where the fuck are you gonna keep it in the bath?
So yeah, it was like early on, and then I always wanted a snake, and then I finally got a snake when I was like 13, 14. And then it went from a corn snake to a ball python to a boa. And then I think a berm my senior year. And that was when Bob Clark's article came out with all the berm combo, or not the morphs.
Yeah.
Different. I don't even know if there were combos yet, but
yeah, there were green and albino green and labby and albino labby.
I think it
That's
was
been
the
around for a
January
minute.
'96. Yeah, it was, because it was the
Yeah.
year I graduated.
It's an
But
old
anyway,
one.
that was like what planted the seed. My dad thought I had lost my.
What are you now? 43, 44?
Just turned 45.
Just turned 45. I just turned 43. So you're a little bit ahead of me, not by much though, but a little bit. But same era of all this keeping and
so
stuff.
yeah, but back then, think about it. It was like
it was real different,
have
bro.
one big ass place to be able to do any numbers of anything with berms.
Oh yeah.
Combos and
oh God, yeah. I mean, that was in his heyday when he was actually a breeder, when he was producing.
But I mean, that was the beginning. I mean, there was nothing for ball pythons back then.
No, I mean, that was the albino year, 96. I believe that's the year that he 95, he proved it. 96, he produced it first, something like that. I mean, it was something right in there. It was like pretty much ground zero for production. Pete Call had just produced the pieds too in 96, 97. So yeah, that shit was all extremely fresh, and you would have had to go to literally those two tables at a show to see them, and you'd have had to go to Daytona to do that. I remember, Orlando to do that. You wouldn't even.
He would go. Bob would go to the Kansas City show.
You would, because you were close to Bob. Yeah, that's true. You were close to Bob, so you got to see that at the KC shows and stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was like you were intoxicated when you walked.
God, don't you remember those days when there's like snakes just look like candy? I mean, they still look more like candy now than
remember back then. I mean, it really wasn't about morphs. He was just getting into that, but it was really species. It was, Antaresia. There was children,
all the Australian, all the Indo-Pacific pythons, all the liasses, all the Australian stuff. And then, of course, true red tails.
Wanted carpet pythons. Like that was seeing him at his table. He had jungles that were.
Yeah, that would have been my biggest question for you there, because I'll scroll back in the comments a little bit to William's comment earlier. I remember back in the day, I would look at Anthony's website, look at all the cool carpets he had, me drooling over them. Well, yeah, I agree. And he's also in Missouri. This is William Philippek, Anthony. He worked for Ben Rennick back in the day. So
where did Ben live? Was he Columbia or Jeff City area? I can't remember.
William, pipe up there and tell us exactly where that is, or you guys are around. He'll pipe back into the chat and tell us. But I'm right there with him. I mean, I kind of got into carpets a little bit. Like I was into them when I was younger, but I got into the mutations and stuff when, like Will Leary was out, and him and Jason Balin did that breeding with the tiger and the jag. Yeah. I bought an animal from that. If you remember that first breeding that they did, the tiger.
Yeah, no, I did. I had bought.
You did some stuff from Jason.
I bought some of those tigers from Jason. God, I had one of them on my business cards at one point.
I remember meeting him thinking, really, you're Jason Balin? You're such a strangely quiet and nice guy. I met him at an NARBC show. He was hanging around with some other people, and I was just like, hey man, what's up? I'm Sean. And he was like, oh, my name's Jason. And I was like, what's your last name? And he's like, Balin. And I'm like tiger, carpet, python? Jason. And he's like, yeah, that's me. And I was like, oh wow, okay. I never even connected. Like he doesn't even look like a snake keeper, I'm gonna be honest with you. Jason Balin looks like a Banana Republic card keeper. He looks like a J. Crew collection keeper. He does not look like a carpet python guru by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh, you're getting crested geckos, and nobody looks like.
Oh yeah, but that's the most gentrified reptile in the fucking world, bro. You got every fucking 5-year-old,
half women, men. It's like
that's exactly right. It's why I thought I'd get into them. Now that I'm single and I don't mind messing around with 20-year-olds, it doesn't matter. I could just get into crested geckos and have all the fun I want, right? I mean, that seems like it at least. So you went from the snakes, and when you kind of graduated and you went into Morelia, what got you into Morelia like that? was it Casey Lazick and shit like that got you into it?
Yeah, I mean, really. So, well, honestly, like I remember seeing, God, I don't know if it was articles or ads. Pro Exotics had, Robin and Chad. They had jungles. God, I don't remember if that was a reptiles article back in the 90s or what, but I just remember
either reptiles or reptile and amphibian or vivarium magazine, one of them.
Yeah, and I saw those on I saw them on Bob's table and really was just like stuck on those. And so like 2001, I took my little brother to a show. So I was like 23, 23.
Yeah.
And 23, almost 24, and got my first carpets, and then
spiraled out of control, bro. I mean, in 2001, I was already in business for a year running my store and just starting to amass shit. Just starting to stock up on ball pythons, leopard geckos, corn snakes to breed for the store.
I got in. I wish I had been in it like the whole time because I had the berm and wanted all that, and then kind of fizzled out because of space issues. And then I think I was pretty much no snakes for like 3 years, and I get back in and I'm like, God, I missed a lot.
Yep. Oh yeah, it hit the gas like thrown on the fire at that point.
From the late 90s to the early 2000s, it was.
Oh yeah.
And then
morphology starts to kick off. William said Ben lived in Montgomery. He lives in Warrenton. We were closer to St. Louis, so I guess more in the St. Louis crowd of reptile people.
Okay.
Apparently, y'all have your Missouri clicks.
Well, St. Louis is on the Illinois side of the state,
right?
And Kansas City is by Kansas.
Yeah, on the other side. So you're divided.
But it's like I-70. You just jump on the highway. I-70 is 5 minutes from my house, and I jump on there, and I'm in St. Louis in like 3 hours. So not bad.
Yeah, no, it's not bad. I mean, all you guys are close to Tinley, and now all these other shows that they've put in your path, Dallas and all that shit. You guys are you're pretty nicely located, actually, when it comes to expos, but you don't really do a whole lot anymore, right? I mean, you don't really need to.
No, I never have.
You never really have. You went to expos. I mean, fuck, I think the last time we had dinner, you choked on that piece of that fucking bowl at Outback. Remember that?
I didn't choke.
Right,
that was
that Dave Thomas?
When was that?
Was that Dave?
No, I did eat a piece of glass out of that salad. Shit.
Yeah, that was it. It was like super salad that you had a piece of bowl or something that got chipped off at that Outback. We were all there together. It was Barchak's crew and my crew and you and Dave Thomas and all that.
They only comped my dinner. My dinner.
Yeah, they comped your dinner. There was like 35 of us. One of us almost died, spitting up blood and shit. Right? I mean, fuck.
But yeah, the legal contacted me.
I remember you telling me that after the fact. Telling me the legal contacted you after the fact on it. Yeah, that was a Sunday night when none of us could figure out what the fuck we wanted to eat, so we all piled down in that shithole. So I think that was the last time. I think otherwise, the only other time we ate right was probably
that Texas again.
Yeah, that was no, that was Daytona. That was Daytona. That was the Outback in Daytona, on the drag, right by the Outback in Daytona by that Hog Heaven
Dave
barbecue
Thompson
joint.
Was with me.
Yeah, Dave Thompson was there. Yeah, it was you and Dave and one other guy. I don't remember who it was. But y'all were like a little group though. Y'all used to roll together. 2 or 3 of y'all. I know. But yeah, man, I mean, it's those old days, right? I mean, it's that's it. Mike's monitor said, I like this glass eating dude.
Might have been like, God, I don't know.
I like this glass eating dude. Yeah, Mike, you eat glass for fun because you're a real fucking man. This dude did it on accident. He's a smaller guy like me. We're not eating glass.
Trying to be healthy.
Yeah, right. Trying to be healthy. Yeah. So those were the days. I mean, so when did you found AC Reptiles? You remember?
Started selling stuff. I was doing web design when I was working for Gateway, and I had like a subdomain from like 01 on, and then that I'd sell reptile like snakes and stuff on.
Right.
And then
did you do any web design work for people? Didn't you do some web design?
Yeah.
people?
Yeah, that's
I
kind
don't
of
remember
when
that.
I was between,
like kicking off your collection.
What's that?
Kicking off your collection in the earlier days,
Yeah, it was
right?
like I was still working for Gateway at the time, and then they closed the Kansas City call center, and so I went off. Basically, just decided to go out on my own and do websites and reptiles, and then the websites I only did for maybe a year or two,
Right.
and then yeah, man, the crested geckos have always been kind of the
I
money
should have done them
maker.
then. I should have stuck with them the whole time. I'm fucking pissed. I'm fucking pissed. It's like I was breeding lotto tickets and now I can't even get paper. You know, that's how it is. I mean, it's nuts though. Like it's fucking nuts, dude. Like it's nuts. When somebody was like, "Yeah, there's this sable and they want 20,000," and I'm like, "Fuck, how many do they have?" "Oh, they have a bunch, but they're already sold." And I'm like, "Wow, okay, all right. This is just COVID money. This inflation shit is really crazy." Now I know why Bitcoin went down. Everybody cashed out to buy geckos and ball pythons.
Geckos.
I mean, fuck, dude. I mean, hey, whatever works.
Yeah, so now I'm like, you know what? You remember everything coming out of Ghana back in like 2000?
That was great. It was great.
Everybody was buying
for 10 years. For 10
bags of
years, there
ball
was
pythons. And then you're nerding out over alien eyes and
much of that was bullshit.
Around the alien eye. Well, there it is. It's back.
Well, it is back. It is back. It is
but
back.
We don't
now
have
as
a Ghana.
Genes.
We have these giant collections. Mine, John Mack, whoever. That's not Bill anymore. What is that, Mike?
Well, Mike Lehman, yeah, Gourmet Rodent. Mm-hmm.
So these big collections are about as close as we have. So it's kind of cool, kind of nerve-wracking having one of them.
Well, yeah, and when you see mutations mutating out of them,
yeah,
and then having to have things,
it's crazy because some of it just looks like shit, to be honest. And it's like,
yeah, but look at the fucking $25,000 fucking cappuccino that's up for sale right now online, or $50,000 for an adult female cap.
So it's
that's
like
solid
I have
brown.
to get out of this carpet python mentality of quality, and get back to looking at the mutations,
right? And understand that a mutation that might not mean much here may mean the world combined to 3 other mutations down the line. And that's where in the ball python community now, like I understand what you're saying, because I wouldn't want to be Kevin McCurley with all the little special projects Kevin had with ball pythons, you know, as well as I do. I mean, you know Kevin well as like I do. Like to know that kind of geeky nerd that Kevin is, to have that level of ball pythons and to see so many variations and be like, "Oh, I'm keeping this. Oh, I'm keeping this. Oh, I'm keeping this. Oh, and then try to work on each one of those individual genes and try to bring them to marketable fruition is almost makes me, at this point in my life, at 43-year-old me, makes me want to tell you, "Hey kid, why don't you come over here and do this?" Because I don't want to do it. You know, like it doesn't make me want to do it at all. Like it makes me want to look at it and be like, "Fuck, this is a lot of fucking work." And I know what's going to happen. I'm going to put 5 years work into a line, and then some kid's going to come out with one that he happened to hatch, and he's going to put a price on it and a name on it, and it's going to run.
But I mean, think how many people you have for every one of those genes that hits the sable or whatever. It's like, think of how many.
There was 1,000 geckos that didn't do shit.
Nerded out on something that ended up not being anything or just not marketable. I've done it.
Sure.
So it's like, it seems to me like it's more often than not, it's people with smaller collections that have the time to really look at this stuff and compare it to a small group. Because as soon as I see anything different, I immediately think combo. Like it's a combo I haven't made before.
Right.
It might be a combo with a gene I don't even know about, but it's like, is it really different, or is it just like with super empty back? That was a huge thing with those. It was like, I thought I had 3 or 4 different
genes in there, right?
Like, there's no way you got 3 or 4 different things that are all that similar. And I started kind of reverse engineering some of it. And it's like, yeah, okay, it is all the same thing. It's just when you breed it into one kind of like a dorsal with a lot of cream on it would be something, you'd get something completely different than if you had one that was just normally an orange dorsal on a black gecko, for example. But anyway, it just, yeah, it's pretty wild. Like seeing some of these things that people come up with, and then they're getting just huge money, but it's the rarity.
What did you think of Lily White when Lily White hit the scene?
Yeah, how high were they though? They weren't that high. I think they were
they were like what, $5,000 maybe?
Were they even that high?
I maybe $2,000, $3,000.
Yeah, I was thinking like two,
maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. I remember
like not
somebody
really, like not even
show.
serious ball python money, and that's
no. I remember. Well, that was the thing that was funny. I remember being at a local herp show, and one of the local crested guys that comes to the crest, the crested breeders that comes to the show, was like, "Dude, check it out." And I was like, "Wow, it's a neat looking crested gecko. It's kind of white." And he was like, "That's a Lily White." And I was like, "Well, it's not very white." And I was like, if I was going to name something Lily White, it'd be pretty fucking white, especially since the Lily is pretty fucking white.
They have a lot of tint to them for sure.
Well, this was like one of the first ones too, and it was small. So it was like, because they look tremendous when they're like 40 grams, right?
Yeah,
I mean, when they look fucking amazing. But when they're like 10 grams, they don't look like much of shit, really.
Not when you're looking white spreads. It definitely
right. Just the white spreads as it grows, and I'm learning more about the color and shit. Because remember, bro, like, I had wild caught ones back in the fucking 90s. So like I go back to cresteds that were really the real crested geckos, not this fucking shit y'all are calling crested geckos. That shit's like bearded dragons. Like the Australians are like, hey bro, don't call those bearded dragons, and don't call those things bearded dragons y'all have in America. Those things are like fucking peekapoos or something.
Crested geckos back then, like most of them, people would be appalled. They would like
oh god, they'd fucking crush them under their heel. What are you talking about? They'd be like, oh, first of all, its head's not big enough.
Hybridized with Cerasinorum.
That's exactly what they would say. A lot of them would probably say, with exceptions, there's not being like a skunk stripe on them and look like a fucking skunk gecko. Like a Vitatus or white line gecko.
Saracenorum are badass.
I like Saracenorums. I produced Saras and Chihuahuas and all that shit back in the day before they were cool. When I used to have to fucking force somebody to give me $200 for a Chihuahua that had color. I mean, that was fuck. That was like 2009, something like that.
Remember, Alan was wholesaling Chihuahua for like.
They're like what, 100,
300 maybe?
Yeah, $200 or $300 a piece. Okay. I don't think I ever saw that. Peggy said, we're excited about the Anti-Back project. I'm stalking AC's website. I can't see what proves out in them. I've been looking at them too, and they look pretty incredible. We'll look at them here in a minute. You're not doing carpets anymore at all?
I have a few at the shop. I have my collection right now. I have some bloods like red albino, some hets from the same line that are really good looking, a couple of Dumerals boas.
Okay.
Oh god.
A couple of little pet projects and things you really like.
Yeah, no, I'm not even breeding this stuff. I just have them.
Breed the Dumerals. Well, I'm trying. I got a big
ass some carpets though. I have a couple of Jags, couple of Jungles. What else? Oh, 2 eyelash vipers and a copperhead I caught in 2005.
There you go. Yeah, and that's always fun. I mean, copperheads where you live are really gorgeous. So
yeah, this one's from southern Missouri. It's like, I think
it's a southern.
No, I think this is an Osage, but we found.
Okay.
I've got a picture. I have pictures of them, but this one's very coppery orange color, and then there was one that was a just dead on beautiful southern, very tan khaki color.
Yeah.
And then there was one that was just dead in between, and we were like, we caught them all within probably a quarter mile of each other on the same property, so they have to be interbreeding. That was kind of cool to be able to catch all 3 of those, and they were going to kill them if we didn't take them. So it was like, all right.
And how about the Atheris? About the eyelash vipers? You into that stuff? What do you like that type of stuff?
Produced the 2 I have. I actually produced. No, I bought
I'm into squamigers, but I don't have any because I can't have any. Because if I
No,
had
no,
them, I'd
these
have
aren't
like fucking 100 of them.
these are both Riecki's Schlegli.
But you're right. Yeah, eyelash. Yeah.
Yeah.
Regular
Oh,
eyelash.
so you had a Theris?
No, I like squamiger. I like squamigera, but I never could do them, bro, because I'd have to have them everywhere. Like I'd have to have like a wall.
Local buddy of mine had some. Yeah.
Like I want a purple one, a black one, and an orange one, and a red one, and a yellow one, and a green one, and a white one, and yeah, I would just keep going. I'd be like, ooh, I don't have that.
My eyelash, I've got it down to just two big girls, and one of them is gold with pink, and then the other one is a Christmas tree. So she's basically this color with the red and a little bit of white and yellow specks.
Yeah, that's so cool.
But they're big. I mean, they have I don't know, they're over 2 feet and pretty big heads on them.
That's fairly intimidating.
They're old though. Reptiles. They were born. God, they had to be born like probably 2009. So they're getting up there.
Yeah, I just actually sent my 2 female diamond pythons to live in San Diego with Brandon Wheeler at Morelia House because he built a big outdoor enclosure for them. But dude, they were from like 2007, 2006. And I just felt bad having them indoors after all these years, just shoved in some 3-foot like Maxwell style cages over here. When we were I did a podcast with Nick Mutton, actually the very first Off Topic Tuesday episode. It was really great if you're interested in that kind of shit, because you know him and Julander rewrote that carpet python book again for Eco. They did it twice. They did first complete carpet python, and then now they have the more complete or whatever book that they just released. But Nick and I did a show earlier in the year, and it was really nice to just see Brandon be like, yeah, dude, I'll take them from you and we'll do a breeder loan, and sent them out there to San Diego to live outside because just after all these years of having so many snakes and stuff indoors, I kind of wish I could just have big enclosures, you know? Like, you got anything naturalistic that you've ever set up? You ever set anything big like that up, or everything's just
nothing that big,
kind of like hobby, you know, style breeder style?
Yeah, I mean, mainly the only naturalistic stuff I have one big blind gargoyle. She's big white gargoyle gecko. She went blind like bad cataracts after like maybe a year and a half.
Odd.
Yeah, it was an old bloodline from the 80s. There wasn't a lot of diversity. I'm not going to name names, but it doesn't matter. But I mean, it is what it is. Like they didn't. It's not like the guy had any choice. But anyway.
Yeah. We all of this stuff, and for the audience to understand that, dude, the crested geckos coming in were very easy to breed very quickly. So there weren't a lot of new blood imported. There wasn't a lot of wild stuff brought in.
Not at all.
I think a lot of it was brought in under scientific research permits and such. I'm sure. I'm totally paraphrasing, no, dude. I don't know 100%, but it would seem to me that like something like the New Caledonian Islands was a lot like just going to throw it out there, like the Porphyracia rat snakes in Laos, right? Like you had one guy going there and studying them and bringing them back and breeding them, you know.
And I don't know this for a fact. I would assume Alan Rapashi had a pretty good lock on whatever was coming over.
I mean, because
if you looked at his collection, not to diminish anybody else, but like at that time, like the Allen stuff was all big and blocky and had like some pinstriping going on, and everybody
he was already starting to see the morphology.
And like I remember when I got in, Kevin Dunn had taken like the color to the next level beyond what Allen had been able to do. But he didn't have the structure that Allen's stuff had. And so it was like I was buying, that's where a lot of my good reds came from originally, was Kevin Dunn. And he said he got the founding animals of those from Allen, but he had just taken it in such a different direction.
Yeah, it's just what you selectively held back and what you focused on, right? And each one of us is going to have a different focus.
Back then, but it was still cool. I mean, cool as shit compared to most other geckos that were out there. I mean, you had leopards, but
And leopards were being heavily
leopards,
selectively bred. Yeah, we did leopards earlier on. I didn't do them as much as my friends Kevin and Nicole at C&N Reptiles down here did. They did a lot of leopard geckos. I fucked with it. But remember, man, with EBN, I kind of did a lot of shit, though. I couldn't really ever sit in one realm. You know, I mean, ball pythons were definitely the biggest. I never did
a phase like that where I wanted to do everything. I think we did at one point. I was doing a couple thousand.
Yeah, trust me, dude. You have much more to show for your life than I have to show for mine. I have probably a lot more experiences with the different species, though. But at the same time, I think I'd rather have more money and more retirement ahead of me than than just the luxury of dealing with a bunch of shit. Because honestly, like Tracy said, you can have a facility with 20 species in it and produce 2 or 3 of them. You can have a facility with 1 species and produce all of it and like smash it, right? Like you can be a fucking pro at one thing, or you can dabble in a lot of things. What one are you going to be? Well, my past 23 years as we sit right now has definitely been dabbling in a lot of shit. You know, I focused on balls for a while, but you kind of hopped around for a minute. Like I could tell you couldn't really figure it out. You did the carpets and you did the geckos. And
yeah,
you were doing both. And,
I mean, the carpets made good money.
Yeah, but they went through a weird spell there. They went through a weird spell where like the market got flooded and Jags got cheap and bloodlines got dirty.
Cheap, like mine were getting nicer and nicer, and so I was pretty much maintaining the price, but but that was never going to be anything where I could mass produce carpet pythons. I mean, you just can't. There's, you know,
no, I don't think you can.
I wanted to mass produce, but you got to have enough of whatever it is you're doing. You need to have enough that you're going to have a constant supply that's enough, that's going to make enough money to support your collection. You have to have that. There's no way around it. It doesn't matter what your intentions are. If you don't have the production there to pay all the bills, pay your people, buy food, all that shit, you're not going to make it. And so that was kind of the thing with me. It was like carpets wouldn't be enough. Like even if I had a massive collection,
no, you never would have made it, bro. You never would have made it through those years when we went through with carpets. If they would have stayed up in the investment game,
like, you don't know. I mean, because in the end, they're a lot of people would see them as bitey little snakes compared to ball pythons, and I think it would keep.
Or wait, let's even cross.
That was one thing that would keep them from attaining ball python status. Even
let's see. Well, I agree with that 100%. But we could also cross the whole pathway of mutts and shit too. I mean, I got to tell you that episode with Nick Mutton is very fun because he trashes the fuck out of ball python people, but we collectively trashed a bunch of retic people because of all the stuff that's going on with the specification of retics now, and how, like, I do agree that some of the islands of retics should probably be considered different species of python. Now, for sure. You know what I mean? Like Coyote should definitely be,
because there's no political pressure.
No, there's no political pressure for it. No, but when you know what it's going to take, it's going to take somebody like Mutton and Julander and some academic that wants to make a name for themselves to go and do the research and write the papers and provide the evidence to say that the animal needs to be a new species. How do you feel about New Caledonia? How many islands are there in the chain of New Caledonia? It was like 1,800, 2,000, 2,800. It was like a fucking lot, right? Islands. Like thousands, right?
Yeah, I've always wondered, like, you know, how many of those little islands and have been explored. And yeah, I don't know.
Explored to the extent of what we say explored, which means that, like, turn over every rock, bro, and find all these weird little things, right?
Well, I mean, just look at these crested geckos that even let's go back to the year 2003, and they were pretty much at every show by then in small numbers, but if you looked at them, they were pretty diverse. I mean, there were a lot of those ones that didn't have much of a crest structure down the dorsal, you know, no pinstriping at all. And then you had Allen stuff with the giant ass heads and the pinstripes. And I mean, I got Harry, he's famous now, but he has that shaggy crest structure. I mean,
yeah.
he
I
looked like
remember a
that
kid. I remember a
19,
kid
20
telling me
years
the
ago.
shaggy crest structure.
But it's like you can't. I mean, you really
was a
think all that
requirement.
shit came off the same island? Like, I don't even know
Right.
about that.
And that's where I mean. That's why I liken the retic situation with the 20,000 island, 18,000 islands of Indonesia with the New Caledonian comparative, right? To go for that narrative of how many species of geckos are there really, and what morphology can come between them. Let's see. So what do you think? I mean, you think
species wise, like,
yeah, I mean, what do you think about island wise? I mean, lychees, right? Are you doing lychees? Are you active in the field? No, not active in the lychee.
I played with them a little bit back in the day. And
talk to me about that. What was not viable for you about Leachianas?
Oh, just how temperamental they are, man. I had them I had one that would growl at me when I'd walk by the cage, and he tore me up pretty good one night. But it was like,
fucking carpet python guy is gonna bitch out over a
no,
mean
and
gecko.
I mean, remember, I was messing with scrubs, and that was what I said.
Oh, that's true. Like, yeah, you were doing scrubs and stuff.
It wasn't that. It wasn't what they were doing to me, though. It was like these lychees, you're gonna grow them out for 3 to 5 years, and then you're going to put them together, and the male's going to rip the female's throat out while she,
that's quite possibly a thing. Yeah, I could say that breeding aggression could be a thing.
Yeah, and so at the time it was like, you got to go back to my mentality then as a 20-something-year-old. That's right. If I was going to spend that kind of money and invest that kind of time in the year 2005, what would you buy? Ball pythons, probably.
That's what I bought. That's what I bought. I mean, that's what I did. I bought every one as they came out. Every fucking one.
Those years, though, I was still getting into carpets too, like Jags and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I still bought those too. I had hypo Brazilian rainbow boas. We had all that kind of shit too. It's just that ball pythons were the mainstay of shit. We just
I never really saw the geckos as like this big money thing. I just didn't.
No, but they were always a low cost thing though, right? So as long as it was low cost, how was it not big?
Putting stuff up for $500 back then, it was like, I remember one guy bought a gecko.
You'd have felt like a dirty bitch putting up a crested gecko for $1,000.
What's that?
You'd have felt like a dirty bitch putting up a crested gecko for $1,000. You'd have been like, oh, man, what the fuck am I doing? I feel like Eugene Bissett and green tree pythons right now. Oh shit. And be like fucking gouging motherfuckers for him, right? Just fucking $20,000.
What's Eugene up to? Have you talked to him lately?
Dude, I haven't talked to him since the last reptile show I went to, and he thumbs in my face that he won't do this show. That era of guy is the guy we also need on shows like this that won't do it. That's why I'm trying to get Tracy Barker to do it too. Won't fucking do it. Just
Tracy won't?
No. Kim Bell will do it, and I'll get Kim on. But I mean, fuck, bro. I want some of these older, especially ladies like Colette Sutherland and Tracy Barker.
Kim would be an interesting talk.
Yeah, Kim would be fun because Kim is fun. Kim is a fun
Kim and Mark together.
Mark won't do it. Mark won't do it. And Kim told me to get him. Kim told me to call Mark and do it secretly and don't tell him I'm recording him and just fucking launch it.
No, he'll do something.
Well, that was her idea. I'd be like, bro, your wife put me up to that. Yeah, she would totally do that. Or John Mack wouldn't be bad if he'll talk. I mean, I just don't know if he'll talk. Mike's already done my old audio interview. Mike and Bill both have.
I bet John would do it. Actually, I talked to Kim right before we got on, and then I talked to John earlier in the day too.
Well, that's good because I'm going to tell you to talk to both of them then. I'm going to tell him, dude, tell him you did Sean's show, and he had a lot of fun, and it was good. It was easy. It's easy peasy.
No, they would be interesting. I would like to interview either one of them.
Bro, I mean, to ask questions that are real enough for people that really care about. Oh, who else was expressing interest in doing this was Todd Goodman that owns Timberline. Was interested in doing this because Todd's a great guy. He would be a great guy to have on.
I remember hanging out with Todd at the shows back in the day.
Yeah, and Todd's done so much for US Arc, bro. Todd has done.
Does he still go to all the shows?
Fuck yeah, he's still booster #1. I mean, nobody competes with Todd and booster for US Arc. I mean, Maybe ZoomEd does, but they don't show up. They just write a check. They just send a check, you know? He shows up at every one and just fucking beats the pavement. But I truly think that Todd enjoys being that ambassador to his business and our industry. I really do. And I don't think a lot of people do necessarily enjoy that. Like, I think Mark Bell enjoys talking about laws and progressing the industry and stuff. But, like, that's the kind of shit we should talk about on a show like this. Don't you think? I mean, you know, I think Kim would be great, though, from a perspective of being a woman that's operating one of the largest reptile industries in the largest probably, because they're probably bigger than Gourmet now, huh? No,
that I don't really know.
They got to be inching in. If they're not bigger, they're goddamn close.
Like,
you know,
Lady
Tiss. Thank you very much, Nicole. She said this is always a super dope show. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. She's got a podcast too. It's a ball python podcaster. So. Thank you a lot for coming by. Hey, everybody, hit the like and subscribes. I appreciate you coming in. Thanks a lot, Anthony, for doing the show tonight. Man, so you guys are listening to I say Alan would probably be since you've kind of given him a lot of props, but probably one of the oldest commercial crested gecko outfits, period, that ever comes to mind when the species comes to mind. Like when people tell me crested geckos and all this type of stuff, I always think of you, Anthony, always. And I'm glad you're still hitting it, like, and doing it. So bring me through the facility. We're going to talk about a couple of quick things because there's some other questions in here, especially Quirky wants to ask some biosecurity questions, and I do too. But bring me through the facility as a grand whole. Are you willing to tell me the number of geckos you work with, roughly?
Yeah. Breeding groups, we just went over, I think it was a little over 1,200 this
1,200
summer.
groups of 4?
Yeah. So we're somewhere in there. And then on top of that, I have, and I don't even know the gender ratio off the top of my head, but somewhere around another 1,200 that are either breeding size or really close to it, that are basically in the holding tubs that they go into.
Right, coming up for the next run then. So it's not a small facility.
No.
How many square feet are you running?
We need more. We're at 3,000 right now. Well, about 3,500, I guess.
Yeah, actually. I was gonna say.
But we need more. I'm probably gonna go. I'd like to get into something maybe like 10,000 square feet next. We may I'm thinking about doing some sort of I don't know if I'd call it retail, but a showroom of sorts, maybe rather than going and setting up at shows.
Hey, remember Garrick used to do that reptile show in his place thing, and it was a fucking hit, man. I mean, I thought it was a brilliant idea.
Isn't that what he was doing that? And I was talking to Will Banks a while back.
Banks should do that because that'd be right up Will Banks' alley. Maybe maybe he is. Maybe he is. That seems like something that Mike would do. And I know Garrick did it successfully for several years in a row, where he just like cleared out part of his facility floor, set up some tables, and set up all of his show displays, just like he'd be going to a reptile show, and just discounted everything except he made 100% of the money. And it fucking seemed like a great idea. I mean, because honestly, who's not going to want to go to that if you're anywhere within a driving distance? If I was 4 hours from that, bro, I'd be at Garrick's. I would have been at Garrick's place every time.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I was going to say is, like, you know, if I go to a show, if I take more than maybe 200 or 300 geckos, man, it's a lot. It's probably 2 weeks worth of work realistically by the time.
Fuck yeah.
Pick them all, price them all, cup them, all that stuff.
Cup them, clean them after you get them there, clean them after halfway through the show, clean them on the way home. Fuck them shitting bastards.
The more you take, the more you sell. So it's like you just have to take a ton. But anyway, it was like for the amount of effort I could do, I could either do that and I'd have whoever shows up at that show for a couple of days, or I could potentially set up a room with maybe 500 or 1,000 geckos on display and advertise it online and get people to come.
Do you have a lot of traveling clients from other countries that come to see you here?
None. I don't let nobody even knows where that
okay.
building is right now.
Well, I mean, that's understandable given the value that's there and the rape and pillage and burning sense. But I mean, look,
But no, we do. I mean, I do send a lot out through like Steve and then another guy down in Miami, Steve Sykes.
Yeah, Steve Sykes at Geckos, etc. We were talking about earlier. I actually just shipped Steve a bunch of corn snakes yesterday to go on export. That's what we were doing. He was calling me because my printer was broken, so my breeder sheets didn't go in, so he didn't know who the fuck the snakes were for. So he was calling me up to be like, "Who the fuck are these snakes for?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Just pick somebody." The Asian person's already paid me. Why do I care? No, I mean, they're gonna reverse the PayPal on me if they don't get their snakes. So Steve's a great guy to export though. So he wants to do all that hard work, So I mean, if that's the case, then fucking let him do it, right?
I think he's up there in what is it, San Francisco? I think he's up at that airport 2 or 3 days a week.
Oh yeah,
somewhere.
I bet. I have no doubt. But he's also paying them bills with that money too. That ain't small cheddar. When you're charging people a percentage of what they're spending, and then you're charging
he doesn't really. I mean, yeah, you couldn't get me to do that shit for that amount of money per animal, but he's been doing it so long, and he has these high roller customers that'll buy hundreds.
Oh yeah,
of
hundreds of thousands of dollars of stuff.
He doesn't need to. He doesn't need to make, a huge percentage to clean up on those shipments, and he's already driving to the airport to sell his own stuff.
Right.
So he's got a good thing going.
No doubt, but like we were talking about, what's that? Go ahead.
His proximity to a FedEx hub, do you know what it is?
No, what is it?
Steve's address is whatever. I'm not going to give his street address on here, but
right. But what, he's like around the corner from the hub?
He's like, if Steve's 1001, FedEx is 1,500. Like,
oh, okay, yeah. I actually looked at a place. I looked at a place. Yeah, I was looking at a place when I opened the fish store. I was actually looking at a location right next to FedEx.
So yeah, I screwed up one time and sent Steve stuff to the hub instead of to his place, and he's like, "Yeah, it's okay." They were like right around.
Right. Actually, I shipped to the hub yesterday. Yeah, I guess he must get it all shipped to the hub now.
I think he does.
Let's make it easier, Let's make it much easier. So, man, like, can you guys wrap your minds around the amount of geckos that he just listed there? He said that he's working 1,200, 1,500 groups of 4. So, look, somebody said here, Quirky said, Sean, I saw Limey at the Raleigh, North Carolina Repticon last weekend. So we're always talking about Limey. And you know what? In the spirit of Anthony Caponetto, since I didn't have Alan Rapashi's number today, I sent out another text message to another gecko faggot that I know by the name of Matt Parks, who runs a company called Pangea. And I asked old Matt Parks to come here on this show to come and talk to us about the gecko business and the wonderful world of powder food making. Because I probably got a better chance of getting Maddie on here than I do getting old Alan on here. But who knows? I might shoot for everyone. I bet I could, man. Because the thing is so great. And this is what I was talking to Steve about. I said, who's doing podcast? No offense to the wonderful Nicole Lady Tiss and all the other great podcasters that are out there doing work right now. None of you are old enough to do this job. Period. None of you have what it takes. And everybody like Anthony and Nerd and BHB and all those people are too busy making money to waste their time and their lifeblood like I'm doing to bring you guys the history of reptiles over the last 25 years. So thank you very much, or I should say 30 years now. Thank you guys very much for coming in. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button. I'm going to have to keep saying that. I said I was going to keep pumping it up and getting them to do the job. Go ahead and do it. Show me some love. Show this guy some love. And, man, thousands and thousands and thousands of geckos. So, that's what I told Matt Parks. I said, we're going to have a Limey. We are going to have a Limey. Hey, look, she said, Sean, I'm 49, but thank you. I didn't necessarily mean your actual age. I meant your age keeping reptiles. I meant your age being a breeder. I meant your age being a professional. I'm not saying you're not a professional, though, because there's many of you that are professionals, and I don't even like to call any of you lame at doing it, even though that's been a fairly entertaining competition.
I'm looking at.
What's that? What's that? You see one?
No, her logo. Is it supposed to look like that?
Is it supposed to look like what? It's somewhat vaginal looking, I guess. Homeboy's got to put his glasses on to see exactly what it is. So yeah,
if it's just me or if that's what that looks
just you.
like.
It's where your mind went tonight. That's it. That's where your mind
Not
went.
tonight, every night.
Every night. There it is. Then.
Yeah.
Fair enough, folks. Fair enough, folks. So I'll so expanding to 10,000 square feet, that's a fucking sizable move there, bro. Let's talk about
but we're jammed up. Like, I mean, where I am now, I could already use about 5,000.
Are you using lidless rack systems or are you stacking tubs with lids?
I'm doing all lidless, everything except for the adults. The adults are in their tubs on just wire shelves.
On wire racks, okay.
Yeah.
That's easy enough.
That's a great way to do it too, man. It's cheap and you can always replicate that. You can buy those wire shelves anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Go to Walmart everywhere for the rest of the stuff. Right. And then you can get like your greenery. We use Pangea's greenery with the suction cups.
Uh-huh. What food are you using?
What's that?
What food are you using? What diet? Do you make your own diet? Pangea.
Yeah, I do the the fig and insect.
Mm-hmm.
The gargoyles tend to like it more, and then but we jump back and forth. I make them eat all of it. And then the other one, just the watermelon mango, I guess. And then we pound them with bugs too. I mean, that's about half the diet or half the feeding days are bugs. But yeah, I mean, they, God, I'm trying to think of the number. I think it's, I don't know, something like 70, 80,000 if we do mealworms, and then crickets are roughly half that if you feed crickets.
Okay.
How
often are you doing an insect diet though with them?
Every other week. I don't even like every other week. I'll do just diet all week and basically make all the fatties that think they're going to hold out for bugs, make them get hungry, make them eat some food. Yeah. Some diet.
All right.
And then, you know, same thing. I mean, occasionally you have the geckos that want to hold out for the diet, which it's not that often, but you do have those. And it's the same thing with them. Eventually they get hungry enough. I just feel like all the food goes away better when we do it that way. Yeah.
When you actually starve them into it.
All insects 1 week and then all diet the next. And then like, babies like under a month, I don't bother with insects. That's just a waste. Some of them will eat them, but not all. And then
it's a waste for sure, because that's where the cricket breeders are making all their money on 2-week-old crickets. All the cricket breeders are making their big bank on 2-week-old crickets, because that's the loss leader in crickets is at fucking 1/4-inch size. So you definitely don't want to blow your cash on that shit. You know,
I remember one time I ordered pinhead crickets. No shit,
God.
It looked like a pinhead.
What an unfulfilling fucking $30. Like if there was ever an unfulfilling $30, you're like, where's somebody I don't like that I can let this go in their bed? Like that would be fun.
They didn't even look like crickets at that size. It was like, wow.
No, it was just dust. It was just jumping dust at that size. But those were my dart frog days.
Back in the day too. Do you remember those?
What's that?
Lobster roaches. Remember those?
Lobster roaches? Yeah. Not any of that shit. Fucking any of that stuff. Red runners.
In the fucking artwork in my kitchen at one point. I was so pissed.
Oh God, I could never do those. No, I could never do that. I mean, we have all of our native roaches here in Louisiana. As it is, it's pretty fucking bad. So I don't mind in this building having some roach colonies, but I still wouldn't do those. I wouldn't let them bring like red runners and shit into this building.
Yeah, those lobsters. I mean, if you grease the top of the tub, they don't get out, but otherwise they get out. Yeah,
no, I'm like, I've got like discoids and shit here, like not like the ones with the big ones with the wings with like the death's heads on them and shit. You know, discoid roaches, dubias and things like that. You know,
you don't do the dubia.
We do have a little bit of dubia, but not much. I mean,
I don't know how the hell we could ever come up with enough. I'd need another facility.
Well, and honestly, I think it's another one of those, once you get a system down and it's a system that's viable. What about soldier flies for them? What about phoenix worms? Have you tried that at all?
I've never tried those either.
They're
God, they
stupid
were
high
expensive
calcium,
as shit.
right?
Are they still doing them commercially?
Well, yeah, but it's the black soldier fly. Some people raise them themselves.
Yeah,
I mean,
don't
I
they
don't
have
see
to
you
like
raising.
lay their eggs in another animal or something?
I don't know exactly where they lay their eggs, bro. I
The
haven't
black
bred
soldier
soldier
fly. I
flies.
thought
Yeah,
they laid their
because
legs.
that's
laid their
Phoenix
eggs
worms.
in like
That's the same. Yeah, soldier flies are, from what I've understood from my chameleon breeding friends, probably one of the more nutritional bugs there is.
Oh, weren't they really high in calcium?
Extremely
Compared to, like,
high
the
calcium
phosphorus ratio?
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very good. Good for chameleons. Big time in chameleons. The chameleon people are fucking huge.
Dude, I remember
into
that. There
Yeah.
was a friend of mine at, oh God, Toronto maybe, was breeding a ton of chameleons, and that was a big conversation. I remember at Daytona, the guy, Phoenix Worms, the guy selling them under that brand.
The guy with the registered trademark Phoenix Worms. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, he had them down there and was introducing them, and this chameleon breeder friend of mine was super interested, just because of the fact that you could kind of you could feed those off without the worry of like having dusted your insects.
Oh yeah, you didn't have to do any supplemental calcium, from what I understood.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Really at all with the UVB that the chameleons were getting. I don't know about the
Right.
geckos. I don't know about how the
That's what I don't
geckos
know
would
either.
convert it.
We use what is it? Repcal, the pink calcium.
The pink one. Yeah,
then,
the good old school Repcal.
Yeah, and then the blue herptivite. I think it's like a 3-to-1.
Yeah, same old concoction, bro. Like fucking them two. I've been selling them two the same for 30 years.
You sell those?
No, I mean, I've just been using them, and people have been selling. That's what I'm saying. They've been the herptivite and Repcal combo have been the top of whatever I've done for geckos and stuff in the past. When I did like Nephurus and things like that, always use those.
I always liked the Nephurus. Those were cool. I had some Levis way back.
Yeah, I had them all. I fucking killed them all too, bro. I fucking smoked like 30 grand worth of geckos. But I mean, that's not hard to do with those. That's not hard to do with those.
I've never had that like real bad luck with geckos, but for whatever reason, man, frogs, I love frogs, but God, I kill the shit out of frogs. I can't keep frogs alive.
Oh God. I mean, they're designed for that, brother. Like they're tropical fish of the reptile and amphibian world. I mean,
the only frog I could ever keep alive were those African
Pac-Man frog or an African pixie frog.
Fish.
A pixie frog or a Pac-Man frog. One of the two.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. All right. So talk to me about biosecurity. I'm going to get this question in because we talk a lot on this show recently about cryptosporidium, about all of these crazy viruses, and that breeders like you creating super bugs unbeknownst to you. What is your biosecurity like in there? I mean, so like we've talked so much about this on this show, bro. Like we've dug into like bioactive setups and how phorid flies go from bioactive to bioactive setup and can easily spread. What has been your pathogen experiences with these geckos in the massive role that you have them in?
We don't have much in the way of like bioactive substrate or anything like that. Most everything we do is disposable paper substrate. We use blank newsprint. I use one size. I think it's like 15 by 20, and it's pretty easy to fold into any configuration we need it. But yeah, we really don't have, because I don't bring in new animals.
And you don't go to shows.
What's that?
And you don't go to expos. So you don't expose yourself
my
at
geckos
expos.
Aren't traveling, going somewhere, coming back. I don't have anything new coming in. I think in the last 15 years, I probably brought in 5 geckos. Well, no, because I did get some male gargoyles that I needed. I got like 17 of those from another breeder. But other than that, I mean, like, we don't bring new stuff in. When I do, I mean, they're on their own in their own rack and their own
Yeah, you
room.
got them kind of separated, quarantined
Yeah,
apart
just
from
and I don't
everything.
quarantine 90 days. I quarantine that stuff until it's ready to breed. There's no sense in
Yeah, you
putting
just keep it
anywhere
over
near
there.
my stuff until it's ready to go in. And then once they go into a breeding group, they don't move. I don't move them around ever. Like that does not happen. So basically, we don't really see much of that. I mean, basically anytime egg production stops across the board, which is usually like every other year, every third year, anytime that happens, I'll take the opportunity to blast them with like Panicure and then give them a few weeks, feed them up, and then hit them with Flagyl in their diet.
Okay.
And that's about it. But it's just more proactive than anything.
Yeah. Well, and it could be an appetite stimulant in that proactive sense, right?
Sure.
Like especially metronidazole, Flagyl can
Yeah,
act
yeah,
as
yeah.
a appetite
But
stimulant in reptiles. Yeah.
you know, all the babies that we send out, like that go to the chains, all that stuff has fecals. Like they do fecals on all of it, all the time. So
Right. Okay. So yeah, there's a good time. Good segue. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about chain business. Let's talk about what it's like to sell to a company that's large and in charge, and they have to monitor the health of your animals to be sure that their clients are safe, right? So
yeah. Well,
what's
yeah, I
that
think
like?
it's part of their deal with the big chain. Is that like I know they have vet inspections too.
Yeah, Gourmet Rodent, they would just show up. They just show up. They don't
Yeah,
tell
but
you they're
it's like, I mean,
coming.
it's a known, like it's gonna happen. It's not like a
Right.
maybe, like a random. It's like they definitely do it all the time. I think in 10 years, one time we got no, it's been longer than that since I've been dealing with them. It's been 12 now. But in that time, one time we got a email, and basically I think they found what looked like pinworm in some of the baby shit, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it was weird to me because we were basically, I mean, these were like 30-day-old babies. Like,
So they hadn't even had crickets or anything yet.
No, and that's what weirded me out. And so I'm
That was
like,
probably a bad
I
sample.
called Matt Pangea, was the first person I called. Then I called Doug Barr.
Right.
And
another
everybody's
hell
like,
of a good friend.
It's coming out of it's whatever's laying larva, whatever larva you're finding in your food. Because you know, if you leave crested gecko food for more than like 48 hours, you've got gnat larva and shit living in it.
I see. And then the gecko ingested that with the food
right,
and
but this isn't like
crapped it out, but it
these
wasn't a
aren't gonna
live
These
parasite.
aren't reptile specific. Like these aren't actual parasites that are infecting your reptile.
Right. So it wasn't live strongyloides, or were they dead?
I didn't get any. I asked questions and I didn't get any answers. But basically, all they did with that particular shipment was hit them with, I think it was Panicure, and then they went out the following week.
Yeah,
so
it'd be
it wasn't a
Panicure.
big deal. But that was the only time, and I was like, "Do they
Panicure or
always test?"
ivermectin.
And they said, yeah, they test every single time. So it was just, I'm like, I have no idea how that would happen. But
Yeah,
that
because
was the only
inherently
time
you
we've
could
ever had
introduce
it.
it with crickets, right? Couldn't you introduce strongyloides with crickets? I think.
Yeah, and that was, I mean, that was the other idea offered up, was that it could have come from crickets too.
But bro, how old's your kid?
3.
How old's your kid?
Or he's going to be 3 in January.
Fuck, you're talking about the age right now. The doctors are going to be like, oh, he's got a stomach ache. Look, you got to check his butt at nighttime and shit. Have you ever had to do that? Pediatrician ever said that to you?
No, for what? Parasites?
Strongyloides, for pinworms. They actually exit the rectum at night, and you can actually diagnose it that way. Yep. But I mean, they just put your kid on some fucking basically Panicure. They just give him a wormer. That's it. But I mean, you ultimately get them from somewhere, right? Like from some, either chewing your fingernails or like from some place that
eating old food that he hid under the couch 3 months ago?
Yeah, I don't know. I was pretty adamant about my kid being around stuff like that when she was real little. I think a lot of you know what? Playing outside in the dirt, barefoot, playing outside barefoot. They can get them from that, right? Because they can go in. Yeah, they can go in through the feet. I've heard that, you know. So it's pretty interesting, right? Like the pinworms, but at least like can you mention the big box? Like, was that a like Petco, PetSmart?
Yeah, no, it's PetSmart is who.
PetSmart. Okay.
Matters. I don't give a shit where else.
No. I don't think it matters either. I didn't want to like dive into your shit. You know what I mean? Because
No,
here we are like, hey, look, here's my
directly to them, but yeah.
Right. You sell to the people that sell to them. You sell to John or you sell to, you know, like you said, you were talking to Doug Barr and Doug builds all John's stuff and, you know.
He builds all, I think, Mark and Kim stuff too.
Mark and he builds Mark and Kim, Gourmet.
I think he did some stuff down at Gourmet too. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. He's done Gourmet, Mark and Kim, Reptiles by Mac, and then Paul and what's his face in Texas that sell them. Jason Miller, JPM Reptilian.
Yeah.
He deals out of Texas, and Paul at PM Herps deals out of Pennsylvania. And that's it.
Doug's been selling Doug stuff for 20, 25 years.
Yep. That's fucking all he does. Doug doesn't even want to, like, I hit him up about my machine because that's what I'm doing now, Anthony. I bought a bunch of machines. So I'm doing like laser, CNC, things like that.
Oh, that's cool stuff.
Yeah, some pretty neat shit. I'm having a lot of fun with it. And I'm mostly doing aquarium stuff. But like this week, I did a big script sign for my friend's kid. She had a daughter and she wants her name in the nursery, you know? So I did this giant name sign for the kid, you know, it's fun. It's fun. You know, it's fun doing something different, but Doug's always been, you know, Mr. Machine that I've always admired, you know, but then again, he's not like me and you. He's not as personable, right? He doesn't like talking to people as much. Yeah.
Doug, man, you get Doug talking.
He's a great guy. You get him talking, he'll talk forever, but he doesn't like the general public. Like he doesn't want somebody coming up to him and talking to him about like reptile cages and what they should buy. He doesn't want that. Like
I think he's beyond that at this point.
Very
he's
much.
He's had enough conversations. What interests Doug is if you're going to do like a room.
If you're going to do a facility, he's all about it.
We're talking about like how many 100 holes are we talking about?
How many 100 holes? There you go. How many 100 holes?
And
he can do it cheaper than anyone.
Think about that. We have a little bit of animal plastics, but it's mostly Doug.
Well, you know, that was Ben Rennick. That was what Ben did. Ben bought Mark's shit, hands down. That's all he bought was Mark's stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that thicker plastic on some of my stuff, but when you get into like how much you can fit in X amount of space,
especially baby containers, like sandwich containers.
Exactly.
Using that polystyrene.
A sandwich box that tall and a piece of plastic that's that tall, it's going to take up a lot.
Oh, fuck yeah. Not to mention take up a lot of money too. Cause you know, Doug's running, so, you know, 1/2-inch PVC, and then I run 1/4-inch PVC on my racks like that. But then Doug runs a 1/8-inch polystyrene. So it takes up no space. And it's really nice for crested people because y'all don't have to have heat tape and shit in the way. So you don't have to have those double shelves that he makes and everything.
Would you say you're doing 1/4-inch?
If I do PVC, I'm doing 1/4-inch, but I just ordered a bunch of hips. I'm going to try it. I just ordered 2 or 3 sheets like Doug uses, that high impact polystyrene. They call it HIPS, HIPS, high impact polystyrene.
I dropped a 20 by 20 cube cage down the stairs at my first house.
Yeah, it didn't break. If you drop it just right.
Oh,
really? If you drop it just right, they will crack. But the polystyrene, if it cracks, you can just use methylene chloride to melt it back together, like acrylic glue. Salt glue will melt it right back together again.
That's it, basically.
He uses, so like a acrylic solvent glue is methylene chloride and a bunch of other chemicals that slow it down to where, like, when you use the glue, it doesn't instantly bond it. Like the minute it hits it, it evaporates and it bonds. They have to slow it. Okay. But Doug uses 100% methylene chloride. I mean, it's carcinogenic as fuck. But I mean, like, I look at the buying it online, the way he buys it, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe he's fucking using that in that way. And I'm going to bring this up because she did say it, but RIP Ben. Yeah, fucking for a fellow Missouri guy, it was just as awesome as this dude right here. And we all did reptiles together all these years. We're all the same age. We've all been in this shit about the same amount of time. We're your senior junkies at this point. We didn't create this thing. We didn't start this thing. We didn't even begin to invent this thing, and neither have you. Nothing that you're doing is fucking special. Everything you've done, we've done before you. But at least we're here to talk about it and tell you how to light the road ahead of you. And I mean, here we are living very different lives, me and Anthony Caponetto, and we both had a lot of fun doing what we've done.
Oh yeah.
So would you take a different path if you were to like rewind it, different species? Would you be like, oh man, I wish I'd have done those ball pythons, because now you're doing it with old Jake, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, I got into the balls, like seriously, because I've had them.
It was what, like maybe 2012 or 13 when you started getting more and more and more?
Probably like, 09 when I actually started putting like some money in them. But I've had ball pythons ever since, like, dude, I just thought of that. I've had ball pythons since 2001.
Okay.
Continuously.
When I've had ball pythons. Yeah.
I didn't even, that's crazy. So anyway, I've had them that long, but it was always like just playing around, like nothing serious until like 2000.
You were like pro exotics and you thought that the ship flew without you. You were like,
yeah, well, everybody. Yeah, I know. And it's like, what's the saying? The best time to invest was yesterday and the next best time is today.
Right.
So like 09, I started getting like Desert Ghost and, super vanillas and pastel super vanillas. Yeah, like 1500,
all that shit.
3K stuff, like nothing crazy, but spending a little money. And then, God, I don't even remember when it was. It was probably like 4 years ago now that Jake and I were talking. See, I was like deadly allergic to rodents. So I was having to buy live rodents, bring them in, feed them all off like right then. I couldn't store them in the facility or anything.
Right. And if you can't raise your own rodents, you can't really raise snakes cost effectively, in my opinion.
Exactly. So, and that was the thing. Like Jake was already breeding the rodents. We pretty much had the same stuff. Like
Jake Milbrat. How do you say his name? Milbrat.
Yeah. So we have Milbrat Caponetto, or Milbrat and Caponetto pythons. So yeah, I sent basically all my collection, my ball pythons, which was like several hundred at the time. I probably had like 500 snakes up until like 4 or 5 years ago. And then sent them off to Jake's, and now, shit, I don't know. I think we have like 1,000 between the two of us. At his place.
Oh yeah. Oh, and especially with the morph tree as easily and widespread as it is now. I don't know that my collection, because this room over here that's full of machines now had around 700, a little over 750 ball python adults in it. And I don't really know now if I could either take care of that number at the current rodent climate. In the current rodent climate, I don't even think I could have that room running like I did. Not here, not without me running, like you were saying about roaches, right? You'd have to run an entirely new industry. That's why people would be like, why don't you just raise your own rats? And I'm like, well, first of all, I'm a paraplegic. Hi, nice to meet you. I already can't work, right? I already can't do hardly any labor. You want me then to like bite off more than I can chew? Like I've known rodent people that have run professional rodent operations that have fallen in perfect numbers and orders, like been operated flawlessly, in my opinion. And they were a massive amount of work, bro. And I would never consider that and a snake business. I don't understand who does.
No,
unless you just are
exactly
in a really lucky spot. Like you're in a lucky spot. Like, oh, I'm in horse, like where I am in horse country, but all the horse ranches went out of business. So you have immigrant labor that's everywhere. That's like, we need work. Be like, all right, I'll raise rats. Or like, one of my friends said, well, how do you do it? And I was like, well, you could be like, Chad Fuchs, right, Anthony? Chad, have been around forever. CF Snakes, right? Chad up in Racine, Wisconsin, they have a rodent business. Him and Cheesy, the other Chad, his partner, have it. And they employ, now listen to what I'm saying here. They employ non-violent sex offenders, like in the way of guys that had girlfriends that when they were 18, the girl was 16 and the parents hated them, or what, you know what I mean? These guys, they can't work any jobs. They can't work near a school. They can't work near a church. They can't do this. They can't do that. Yet they are happy to come and work in a rodent building for $10 an hour in the middle of the country in Racine, Wisconsin. Now we take TSK, Snake Keeper, Dan and Colette Sutherland, right? You know them.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, they have a rodent operation in Utah, but they employ work release felons to run their rodent operation. Like every great rodent operation that I know of is being operated like thinking out of the box. Like we employ these felons and the state pays us this much of their wage and they give us tax breaks. And they do this. And I'm like, wow, you guys are fucking geniuses. You guys are fucking smart. Like, you guys are the smart ones. And then the other rodent guys are like out there cleaning shit with their partners and getting burned out.
I was just thinking I could go around and give my card. I don't even have a card, but if I did, every McDonald's, every Burger King in town, send me all the people who can't make it here. If they can't show up on time, it's okay, because at my place they can stay 5 minutes later.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, though. Do you really want them taking care of stuff? Now,
no.
From the Sutherland's perspective, you know what Dan told me was, it's fucking great. The cops drop them off in the morning. They pick them up in the afternoon. They come and feed them.
Do they really?
If one of them runs away, we just have a number we call and we don't have to worry about them. And he was like, the only real problem is their work release. So a lot of them are only there for 3 to 6 months. So you're training somebody, you're getting great work out of them. And then, but he's like, but it's also allowed me to, a lot of what Bill and them have done in Gourmet Rodent, make a standard operating procedures manual like McDonald's, to where you could hire an employee and say, listen, read this, take this test, come to work on Monday.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you get these, you know, you 2 strikes and you're out, 3 strikes and you're out, whatever your rules are. But
yeah,
man,
we're actually, because I'm going to be hiring so many over the next year and a half.
Yeah, you're going to have
exactly
to.
what we're getting ready to do. Because if I need 6 people, I'm probably going to have to hire 15.
Well, yeah.
You know.
Well, and ultimately, you'll end up with a core person, right? Do you have anybody that's core now? Like the girl that's worked for me has been with me for 5 years.
Yeah, I've got one guy I've had since, God, he was 16, I think, when he started, and he's 24 now. Yeah.
Okay.
He's been there 8 years. And then
that's an investment in time then.
Yeah. And then another guy's been there a few years, and then everybody else is pretty new. Actually, I say pretty new. One of them's been there off and on, been back a time or two. So he's been there a couple of years. But yeah, I mean, right now, yeah, with a handful of full-time people, we got a pretty consistent group, but we're going to need a lot over the next year or so. And that's kind of been the talk, is they're already getting tired of training new people, and we've only brought on a couple. So it's like,
yeah, dude, if I had a gecko structure like you, I would probably do what Gourmet did. Make yourself a wall with all the pictures of a healthy gecko, a non-healthy gecko, and all that shit. You seen all that at Gourmet?
No, I
haven't.
haven't.
You seen that?
Sounds
dude, hit Mike or somebody up, or I'll hit him up and get some pictures and send it over to you. They take like a space in every room, in every section, and they have like a wall of like basically like lamination papers. And it's like, here's a healthy ball python, here's a non-healthy ball python. And it's like really, it allows their employees just to see it and know their system is incredible. Like, it really is incredible for getting the layman fucking laborer motherfucker to come and work for you in an animal business I know nothing about. Okay.
Well, it just gives them something to reference, kind of something
Yeah.
to go back to, because they're not going to remember everything you
like
tell them.
Even beyond that, like I've talked about it on this show a couple times. My listeners have heard me to say it already. There's a bell that goes off at the start for break, and then there's another bell. And if you're in the building after the second bell, you're fucking fired right there. That's it. You're out. You know, because nobody should be in a building after the second bell, kind of thing.
Yeah, I remember. Were you there at that talk? It was at one of the Tinleys.
Yeah, I actually recorded it. It's on the audio, the reptile report. Is that it? The state of the industry, the reptile report, state of the industry address.
Yeah, that
I
was
actually
like,
recorded
you had to
it.
be somebody to get in that room, kind of deal. That was weird.
Yeah, it was weird. I think it was just Robin and them and Barchak trying to make themselves feel special, to be honest with you.
Remember,
but it was Robin and Chad, Barchak and Bill Brandt that did the presentation, and I recorded it in Tinley, and it is on the Ballsh audio version, guys. If you go look it up on Spotify or anywhere like that, it would be the very first. Actually, look, I'm pulling it up right now. It'll be the very first. I'm on Spotify. This is my list of old podcasts. The very first upload ever. The Reptile Report right here, October 2013, 1 hour and 1 minute.
Good Lord, was that 9 years ago?
Fucking dude, it was however many years ago that was. Yeah, it was that long ago, bro. We are older. You have a 3-year-old though, so fuck you. You're gonna be so old when your 3-year-old's out of college.
Yeah, I'm gonna be that.
My daughter's 10, and I thought I was gonna be fucking old. Yeah, you're gonna be old as fuck. You'll be old as fuck. Yeah. So Peggy Braun said, I'd like to see what that wall looks like. I could use it for my staff. Our reptile store's inside of a tabletop gaming store. It'd be a great reptile. That is very interesting, Peggy. Yeah. As me being a retired tabletop gamer, and a buddy of mine owns a comic book shop here near me. We do some business with our plastics and stuff, our custom plastics business. We do some stuff with. But that's very interesting. A reptile store inside of a gaming store. That's how you get a gaming store to make it. I'll have to tag Tim Stoddard from Showcase Comics in Slidell, Louisiana in this episode, so we can see how it's done. Whenever I want to hear him bitch about smelly gamers, I'll be like, bro, you should really just put the reptile shop in there, like I told you. You know, there's this woman doing it right here. Peggy's fucking doing it. That's beautiful. But yeah, Peggy, basically it's a standard operating procedures manual, and then each wall in each room pertains to that room. So if it's a leopard gecko room, it's a leopard gecko wall with pictures of like a crypto gecko with like a black belly, and like a medium gecko, and then like a fat one. Pictures of a good egg, a bad egg, and a whatever egg, you know. And then also, they also don't allow their employees to dispose of anything. Okay. So they don't allow their employees to throw a dead body away. Their employees have to put a dead animal on a special rack of dead animals for a supervisor to check in and check out. It is very much run like everybody's a criminal and nobody's honest. I mean, I was going to say,
is that a theft thing, or is that they want to know?
Yeah, no, it's a theft thing. It's a theft thing. I think it's a theft thing, because honestly, dude, when you're working into that amount of stuff, man, who looks at that and thinks you can keep track of it? Okay. I'm just going to say, the first year we produced banana ball pythons, Anthony, I produced 31 bananas when they were like 25 grand. And a guy that was working for me part-time stole one of them. Now, I can't prove that he stole one of them. And I'm not going to say him by name, but the people that know me and know this place back then know exactly what I'm talking about. And you know what? He came in to work early to look for the escaped banana ball python. And who found it? But he found it. He never found that fucking snake here. He took that snake home. He cleaned out its tub.
Put the heat on him, and then he came back and
he pulled the tub. He washed the tub. He pulled the sticker off the tub. He consolidated the rack to where there was no empty hole where that banana was. There was 25 bananas. Then there were 24.
Oh.
Be like, man, he's got so many fucking bananas. Who's going to miss that, right? Me? The funny thing about me is a bunch of people would come in this building and say, you'd think Sean is a scatterbrain motherfucker, but he can tell you where every single animal is in that building. And there was fucking like 3,000. Well, with babies and everything, probably 3,500 tubs in here at the time. And I was like, we're missing a banana. And who came in early and found it? That motherfucker did. And I know he took it.
Yeah, I've had some kind of shady stuff where you kind of know, but you're not 100%. I have cameras on everything now. I mean, I think they're as good of a deterrent as they are anything else.
Fuck, a camera with a battery light on it's enough of a deterrent.
Yeah.
To where most people today.
Oh, but you can get those Amazon now. They have those cloud cam ones that.
Oh yeah.
You can mount them anywhere. The batteries last like a year or something crazy.
So Quirky said, is it really worth it to keep expanding? Paying workers, headache of dealing with more workers. Is it really worth what? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if you have the infrastructure in place and you have a good system.
Over here coughing my brain. I'm good. Entertain them. Keep going. They don't even watch me cough.
But yeah, man, I mean, it just, you have to look at everything when you do something like that. If you're going to expand, you need to know that you have the market for it. The way I look at it, to me anyway, for me, is let's say the last 5 years, would I have been better off or worse off at that bigger size that I want to be or that I'm considering growing to? And for me, yeah, I mean, generally speaking, for every bad year, quote unquote, bad year would be prices maybe coming down a little bit. Maybe they're a little harder to sell. Still make decent money, but it's just, you can tell you need to probably either slow down or wait and see what's happening before you add anything. For every one of those years, there's probably 5 good ones where you wish you had more.
Or at least 2 COVID years where you wish you had more.
But yeah, that was crazy. But I mean, no, just really with the Cresteds, it's been like that the whole time I've been doing this. I would say there's probably been 3 or 4 bad years and 19 seasons that I've been doing it.
Well, when you and I talked many years ago, I mean, you don't remember it. I remember it because I don't talk to very many bigwig crested guys like you to where we talk numbers. But I'll be honest, bro. You blew me away with the numbers you told me about years ago when we visited with each other on that, much less having that business to continue to grow. You're not a big player on Morph Market. You have animals on Morph Market, and I'm sure you sell them off Morph Market because everybody does.
Oh, yeah.
But you are not a major crested gecko. Like, your entire inventory is not on there.
Oh,
not
God,
like,
no.
Not like ball python people are. Like, you're home base, bro. Like, AC Reptiles was it. Let's talk about it. Let's look at it.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
we spent some time on it the last few minutes that we have together. Let's talk about your enterprise here that you have built, because I will believe me when I tell you this. Quirky, I'm going to tell you right now, paying workers, the headache of dealing with more workers, I enjoyed having employees when my employees and my staff was solid. I did. I think we're in a different time now.
Be a nightmare.
I think that we're in a different time now. I think that in a time where we are now, that, like, for instance, bear with me on this one. For instance, when you can go and get a job working at a McDonald's or somewhere, Chick-fil-A, where you're literally getting paid $13, $14 an hour to hand someone a bag that someone else packed. I got to tell you, man, it's really hard to get people to clean shit and do a good job at it when you have a climate that we've had in the last couple of years. I had very dedicated people working for me at the fish shop, Anthony. I was lucky, but there were times that they were a fucking nightmare. There were times that they didn't do the work that they were paid to do, and there were plenty of times that I lost from their irresponsibility, killing fish, killing corals.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking dropping fish on the ground and not in, like, picking up and throwing them back in the tank and giving another fish to the customer and moving on about their day like it didn't matter, to the point to where I had to instill the old rule, Anthony, that was instilled on me when I worked in a pet shop when I was 19. And it was, everybody gets a freebie. Make it a fucking good one. If you're going to break a tank, if you're going to kill an animal, if you're going to wipe something out on duty, make it a great one. Because after that, you're paying me for every motherfucking one after that. Every fucking time you kill something, you get paid $12 an hour. That fish cost me $25. You just worked 2 hours for fucking free. Call your mother. Tell her that you want to cry about it, fuck you. I hold you motherfuckers personally responsible. And you know what? None of them ever quit. None of them ever quit. But the one kid that came and worked and killed an $1,800 tank full of corals, he had a great time the next time he had to pay $20 for a fish because he didn't have to pay $1,800 for those corals that day. But the one girl that worked for me, the first thing she broke, Anthony, was a $7 bottle of liquid. I'm like, well, it's a freebie. Next one's on you. Please be more responsible. She went to put an aquarium in a customer's car and didn't pay attention and straight smashed the side of the aquarium into the turnbuckle that grabs a hold of the door and broke a $400 aquarium. Guess what? She didn't get paid for a week. She didn't get paid.
She stuck it out. See, I'd be afraid I'd lose.
Because you know what? Fuck you guys. Fuck you guys. You want the employer to cover for your mistakes? You go fucking work at Best Buy. You're not working for me. You know, I'm going to hold you accountable. I mean, I think my grandpa probably would have taken somebody outside and beaten them up in like the 1950s. I don't really know. But if he had some shithead working for him in his tile business that was over there breaking tiles for fun because of the way it sounded, he might have took that dude outside and beat the fuck out of him. I don't really know. You know, I mean, it's a different time we lived in then, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, employees wise, you know, I mean, you guys work with GECKOSH.
I've had people, I've had some pretty crazy stuff.
My biggest peeve is the ones that don't want to quit, that want to do a bad enough job that you'll fire them. Those are the ones that really get me wrong with animals. Like, wait a minute, I'm going to treat an animal so bad that he fires me.
That's it.
Because I don't have the balls to quit a job I don't like. Wow.
Yeah, you notice it. I mean, a lot of people burn out, even people
for sure
that have been good before, and that's when you know is because they know better and they still.
Yeah.
If the work goes downhill, you know it's not a matter of them needing better training; it's their burnout, and a lot of times there's nothing you can do about it.
Do you see a correlation in male and female burnout? Because I definitely see male burnout greatly more than female burnout. But that's just
we haven't had as many. Just the pool of people I've hired from. Like I had a cousin, male, that brought on a bunch of friends that played baseball with him on his baseball team, and then basically it was like a never-ending stream of guys. I had guys,
right, like a fraternity of employees almost.
Yeah, but yeah, I've had a couple of girls, and they seem to be more vested in what they're doing. I think
much more, last much longer. Girls last years to guys months in this industry as employees. I can tell you that, hands down. Hands down. I've had very much experience with that. Lady Tis says people are lazy. How, regardless of the job. Yeah, they are lazy as hell, regardless of the job. In some cases, you know. But I mean, back to what Elite said: work like you own the place. Yeah, dude, that's what I would tell my employees, man. When I hire you to work in the fish store, you know what I tell you? When we're done, you're either not going to ever want a fish tank again, or you're going to own a store.
Yeah, I've had. It's funny you mentioned something like that. I've had people that come in and they want to talk like they'll work harder if you pay them more, and it's like, man, that's not how it works. I have to see what you have to offer me, and it seems like a lot of people think maybe the boss doesn't notice this, that, or the other. Well, I think anybody can come in full of piss and vinegar and work hard for 6 months or whatever.
Not even 6 months. You're lucky to get 2 months, a good strong push.
Yeah. So let's say, they come in for a few months. I want to see, can they maintain that? Because the people that can maintain that work ethic, that's rare, and those are the people you're looking for, that you can invest more time and money and training and whatever, and potentially have them move up, to a better paying position later.
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't know why. I don't know wherein the youth of the world, I'm going to say youth of America, because what the fuck do I know about living anywhere else? But the youth of America coming to this conclusion that you get rewarded. We grew up understanding reward for good work, not expectation from the salary, if I'm making sense. You know what I mean? Like the kids today,
they want to be rewarded for their potential.
For the job, they want to be motivated with pay. They don't want to be paid for motivation. And it's a fucking, like, where did they fucking learn it? Like, I don't, is it me and you that had kids? You know what it is, Anthony? It's me and you. It's our generation of motherfucker, Anthony. It's us that had children when we were children. You feel me? Like, me and you, I got a 10-year-old, you got a 3-4-year-old. We're good, right? The fucking 20-year-old that had a fucking kid, an 18-year-old that had a kid, that was like, oh, I'm fucking going to a bar and I'm going to leave my kid with my mom and I'm going to leave him with a babysitter. My kid's never been with a babysitter, dude. She's 10. I've never got a babysitter for my kid. I've never even wanted to. I've never wanted to contact someone else to watch my kid. Like, I like watching my kid. I like being around my kid. You know, I don't feel like just, oh, it's obligation. I'm going clubbing tonight and I'm going to ever watch the kid. That's some shit, right? I mean, I'm being super judgmental right now to like half of America, but I mean, at the same time, dude, I mean, am I wrong? Like, I mean, I think that a lot of people, like our generation, fucked up these millennials. Like the ones that are lazy and shit have like parents that are our age that didn't make them do shit, that didn't make them get jobs when they were 14 and fucking paper.
I was gonna say that's a lot of it. It's generation to generation you see it, but that's it. I mean, it's did the kids get everything handed to them when they were younger, or was it something, you know, were they expected to do something?
Yeah, I mean, like what? You were in computer science and shit. You go to college for that?
Yeah. No, I worked. I did go to college for that, but
okay.
My first day of summer after 6th grade, my dad woke me up at like, I want to say like 6:15 a.m.
Yeah.
And he wasn't the big, like, sit you down and have a talk kind of dad.
Mm-hmm.
But that day we did. I was explained to that now that I was going into junior high, I was expected to earn my keep. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Saturday morning, first Saturday morning, or first day of summer, whatever it was, I don't remember.
What business was he in?
Oh, him and my uncle were running my grandpa's old filling station down in the ghetto.
Oh, okay.
It was a full service station.
Full service station.
I came in, learned how to change oil and patch tires and shit like that.
Right.
And there were hookers walking around and shit. It was a great
I believe
place.
it.
We had a bar next door, and our cigarettes cost half of what the cigarettes in their cigarette machine cost. So all the drunks would stagger over throughout the day to buy cigarettes. So anyway,
sounds like a profitable business. Sounds like a profitable business. Sounds like a fucking den of debauchery, but a profitable business.
Oh, it gets better. So my dad decided he didn't want to do that shit anymore. So he decided to open a gun shop. So to get that kicked off, we started with the gun shop in the gas station.
Oh shit! Okay, in the ghetto, good place to sell guns in the ghetto.
So I did two summers down there, and then we started. Then we had our own gun shop, and that's when shit got really crazy. There were like break-in attempts all the time. There was a attempted robbery once. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've had to work since I was a kid. I mean, and that was every Saturday as a kid, and then in the summers I had to work 5 days a week.
And honestly, I think that goes back to Quirky's question.
Drive there after school.
I think that goes back to Quirky's question before about the paying workers and why grow. Here's why grow, man. Like what business? Like this dude has fun. He does what he does. He has fun doing what he's doing. We're all good friends, right? I mean, like you're got a bunch of great people around you in the reptile community. Why not expand and do this for the rest of your life and buy a bigger house for your kid to grow up in, right? I mean, I'm all about the expansion and the growth of business. I just never thought I'd see you continue to expand.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things for what I do too with the wholesale. You kind of have to grow. I mean, the crested gecko market's growing. The demand from the stores is growing. If I want to continue to be the major supplier for whatever.
And I do think that is a huge, I think that crested geckos are probably selling more than ball pythons in the big box retail stores, I'm sure. So the numbers are needed. So
well,
what
that's it. I mean, I can send out like these, what I think is a massive order, and then I find out that
that's what I was going to ask you. What is that order? What's a massive to you order?
Oh, like it'd be like maybe 500 in a week or something. But it's, I mean, that's kind of dictated by my pace, like what I can ship, what I can sell. But if I ship that out, like all those stores that are getting geckos off that, they're going to get like 2.
Right.
So it's nothing. I mean, it's a loss leader for those stores. If they advertise a $49 crested gecko and lose $5, they're only losing $10 for the week.
Right.
And they were able to put in the newspaper they've got $39 crested geckos and have 500 people show up to buy.
Well, and they sold a terrarium and they sold plants and they sold food and
you bought dog
that's what it is.
while you
That's
were
what it is.
and all that shit.
It's just like the Aqueon $1 a gallon sale at Petco for aquariums, right? Exactly. It's the idea that if we put this glass box out there in the world, some crazy fuck is going to fill it with something that this store supplies, whether it's a hamster or a fucking frog or a guppy or whatever.
The cheapest thing you put in a tank like that too. Like
that is true. That is true. Times. Back in the day, we used to do those loss leader discounts. Whenever I told you guys that I used to buy iguanas for 99 cents, we would do iguanas free when you bought a UVB light bulb, because the cocksuckers that would buy $15 iguanas would never buy $30 light bulbs. So we gave them iguanas for free. When you bought the $35 light bulb, we just upped the price of the light bulb $5 and only paid 99 cents for the iguanas. It was fucking great. Yeah, 99 cents back in the day. Yep, ball pythons $3.25. I couldn't beat that, man. $3.25. That's all we paid.
That was a while ago.
Landed. Last time I did that was like 2004 or 5, something like that. That was like that $3.25.
Buying big box of those things.
Yeah, that was 500 at a time for $3.25. Yeah, that was 500 at a time. I think the lowest we paid was $1.99 in 2000. I think.
Oh God.
2001. I think we landed them in New Orleans for $1.99 for 500.
What did
you know? Yeah, and then, I mean,
I think I got some. I don't know. I think I only bought like 100 or 150. I think I paid $6.
Yeah, you probably got like Outback or somebody threw together. You know, whatever. Would you want to get as big as Brian Barczak or Gourmet Road? Well, first of all, Brian Barczak is not big at all. I wouldn't consider Brian a size queen now. Like back in the day, like a bad term, size queen. I didn't mean to say that like that. That's kind of a bad term for Brian. That wasn't specifically for Brian. I will call everybody that's in that grand realm of.
What did Brian? I don't know. What was Brian producing?
Oh, Brian was huge though. Before this Reptarium thing, Brian's facility was like around 14,000 square feet, 12,000 square feet with an upstairs. So that was sizably massive, but it was mostly colubrid snakes and ball pythons, right? Colubrid snakes and ball pythons. But Gourmet Rodent is massive, Quirky. Like Gourmet Rodent, to me, illustrate to you how big Gourmet Rodent is.
Different kind of business.
If Barczak's absolute height, he probably had 7 or 8 employees. At Gourmet Rodent's height, they had 87.
Well, that's what I was going to say earlier. You know, if you look at like Mark and Kim Bell, Reptile Industries, you look at John Mack, and then you look at Gourmet Rodent, those 3 are in the class of their own. There's nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing like them 3, period. If there was, those are all you would need another big box retailer.
Those are hovering around 100 employees each. And they have the big contracts. They're doing massive numbers.
Quirky, go on the old bullshit podcast episodes. Spotify, I like because I'm a big Spotify person, but episode number 17, October 2015, is Bill Brandt. And go on there and talk to Geezer. Well, listen to me talk to Geezer Reptiles about all of his great and amazing accomplishments. And then later, I do one with Mike Lehman, the current owner. I believe I revisited it later on down the line. I don't know where it is exactly. But yeah, I did interview both of them at some point. Anyway, they're there. They're there somewhere. You guys, go check that out because that shit's amazing. Like guys like me and Anthony could sit around and listen to Bill Brandt talk for fucking hours about, commercially viable businesses and like a guy like Anthony here has more or less pioneered what he's done in crested geckos on this scale, because I don't believe Alan ever got to scale. Did he ever really scale out?
No, I mean,
not like you did. I think you probably scaled bigger than everyone.
Like when he outfitted the last time he did, he bought a bunch of cages and shit. It was like,
but now he's on this anole kick, right?
He did 1,000 screen cages. So that was like, that covered his breeding groups. That covered his babies. That was everything fit.
Yeah. 1,000 screen cages. Right.
We're at 1,200 breeding cages. And then there's another 1,700 baby tubs, another 1,400 or so grow
folks. This is a real fucking reptile breeder right here. Seriously.
Then,
I mean, the numbers are just absolutely insane.
So yeah, there's probably, if there's like 5,000 breeding geckos, there's probably 6,000-ish non-breeding right now.
Yeah, Quirky said that was the shtick that I didn't like about that reptile report talk. He said, I've heard of them. I know the Reptile Show meeting talk podcast. There was business tier talk. That's why I asked that question. They threw that weird, like, tier this, tier that, tier, like there's actually a tier. There's not a tier structure.
Whatever
these folks just do more.
There were only 3 of those breeders. That was Mark and Kim, John Mack, and
you will not come close to the size of these operations.
No, I mean,
unless you literally invest like $20 million. If you spend $20 million, like if you came to me right now and you're like, I want to make it, I'll be like, okay, you're going to have to spend $20 million and then be on the level to be consistent enough to convince. You'll never do it.
You'll never be able to do it.
You'll never unseat unless there's some major biosecurity problem, right? Unless Gourmet was taken down by some pathogen, and it wouldn't happen because there's so many buildings and there's so many.
I was going to say they break
there's so many procedures.
That's the whole point.
That's a good, you know what? Todd Goodman from Timberline. I'll ask him that on this show because I have asked him personally, Anthony, what is your operation like? He said to me, Todd Goodman looked at me and he said, the average super Walmart is 150,000 square feet. I assume that I have about 480 to 550,000 square feet of insect space.
Oh my God.
I said, Todd, how many buildings is that? He said, I can't tell you how many buildings that is. He said 50, 100. I mean, he wouldn't really go into numbers to that effect. But I would like to get him on this show to talk those numbers, to say, you want to talk about biosecurity? What happens if a cricket company goes down? Remember when rainbow mealworms went down? Remember that shit?
Well, Gann's crickets went down. And
Gann's crickets went down, and then they reset with those other crickets.
I never used a mealworm with crested geckos until that cricket virus hit.
Yep, and a cricket virus, guys. A cricket virus. Hey, Jana, late to the game. She's been too busy repping herself on the 15 minutes of lame. Can't go 5 minutes on the internet without seeing this chick try to win this contest for another podcast. So that's my guest this Friday. So you guys tune in Friday night at the same 8 o'clock as this, because she's a West Coaster. So she's coming on at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Central time this Friday, me and Janet King. And then next Friday, another fucking Tony. So I had Tony Antonucci, who's a boa breeder, on the other day. Now I've got you, and then I've got another Tony. So apparently this is a Tony sausage fest here for Christmas time for all of you guys. So, but man, you guys need to go check this dude's website out. Let me pull my screen back up again, pull my podcast down, go back over to acreptiles.com, because this guy is doing a ton of selling on his own site. Yeah, he's on Morph Market, and these animals are on Morph. Well, some of them are on Morph Market.
Yeah.
But God damn. I mean, this empty back stuff is looking pretty incredible, man. Like this one is so fucking unreal. Like so nice, so clean. So talk to me about this. Talk to me about, what do you want to talk about empty back? Let's throw some gene talk in here real quick for a few minutes, and then I'll let you go. We'll call it about. Give
that
it like
one's
10 or 15
been
minutes.
Floating around in my collection for a while, and I had took, as I always do, I took my sweet time braiding them together and getting the super. I don't know what made it take that long, but yeah, I started getting the supers probably like 4 or 5 years ago, and
Mm-hmm.
took me a couple of years to figure that out. And then once I did, it was game on. And so I've comboed that with just about everything we have, like super soft and all that stuff.
Yeah,
but yeah,
so
they
soft scale. You have the soft scales, and what is that's co-dominant, and the super.
Yeah.
See, that's so crazy, dude. Like you guys got that.
I know.
It's so foreign to me, bro, because I'm a snake guy. So like I'm used to snake mutations coming in from the wild as like wild caught mutations. I'm not used to like all these captive, like these spontaneously mutated
well, a lot of this has been
so.
floating around too. I mean, like soft scale came out of Allen's collection.
Right. It's just a matter of who took the time to actually separate it and name
pin
it,
it
right?
down. And yeah, I mean,
yeah. So what other genes was it? There was soft scale, tangerine, snowflake, now empty back, which isn't on here yet.
Oh, that I've
founded.
Oh, is that my page?
Founded trait. Fuck yeah, that's your page.
Oh shit, I didn't know that was there.
Fuck yeah, that's your page. What?
I
Wrong?
don't know. Yeah, I named the Phantom too, but I don't know who the hell you would say proved that. Nobody needed to really prove it. It was.
Well, yeah, but there's like one thing you can do, if you will do everybody a nice solid, is head over to Morphpedia when you're feeling like you have some free time in your life and you want to do this, which I seriously doubt you will. But head over to Morphpedia and get the story straight on some of the stuff, you know? Because like he's trying to get these stories down. It's part of the reason why I'm doing this podcast, Anthony, so that we can get this shit down. But if we go and we click on the mutation itself, it'll go to the Morphpedia page and it'll give you credit to whoever produced it the first year you produced it, and then a little write-up about it, you know?
Huh.
I mean, fuck, bro. Like, they've done a lot of research for you already, but
I was going to say, I've been in a cave for a while.
Well, yeah, you've been in a cave. That's okay. I'm not going to throw you under the bus too much. You know, I was telling my kid today that it was cool to look at your Morph Market page in comparison to the ball python people I've been picking on lately, because you barely use this motherfucker. So it's like you have no reviews. Like you have a few reviews. You have nothing like major, nothing I can pick on. Like you know, it's fucking sad. It's sad, but it's great. Like it's wonderful.
Yeah,
I business on your own website.
I've had a bunch of stuff on Morph Market for a while, but some of it was getting pretty dated, and I was just like, man, I need to refresh.
And that's really hard in your line of work, right? Like, because these geckos fire up. 1 minute they look this way, you know, 5 minutes after you put them back, they look 10 times better, right?
Oh yeah, I keep them cupped for a while after I photograph, because they always do that. It's like you couldn't get them to fire up,
flamed out, right?
Once you put them through the stress of taking their picture, then they fire up. But I
love that you're still selling on a .com, Anthony. I fucking love this, because so many people like Bob Vu. I mean, you know who Bob Vu is. Many people know who Bob Vu is, right? Bob was like, I don't need a website. Well, I don't need a website. Websites are stupid. Websites are old. Nobody uses websites. And I'm like, dude, here Cresty geckos are just busting out on this amazing website here that there's no aneries available. Axanthics, I mean.
Oh, the Axanthics? I don't mess with Axanthic anything. Ball python, same thing. Like every ball python that we have that's Axanthic is Jake's.
Right. That's a shame, dude. You need to get into the monochromatic. Gargoyles, you still doing a lot of those?
Yeah, we're doing more and more of those, actually. I
just bought a group of adults myself at the last show that weren't quite ready to breed. I mean, they were just getting ready to breed. They're nice and young still. So I'm backing a 1.3 of Gargs to start growing myself some collection of Gargs. I just need to sell these leechies I have and get cresteds instead.
Been holding a lot of gargoyles back.
Yeah. How's your numbers of Gargs compared?
Oh, nothing even
nothing
close.
Compared. You harem breed those as well, 1.3?
Yeah.
No problems with the teeth durations or anything like that. No issues with aggression on those to each other.
Oh yeah, they beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Especially new groups. Once they've been in together for a while, there's no problem. But once
because they have serrated teeth, so they do a little bit more damage.
Oh God, yeah, they'll tear you up too. That's what
Peggy asked a good question. Anthony, we be getting the auctions back anytime soon.
Probably not like soon, but I would imagine by summer we'll probably have no choice but to start doing some. We're going to be producing a bunch this year. So yeah, I hope. I need to get some help in there though. I'm going to need a couple of people to do help me with the website and the photography.
Yeah, it's such a huge undertaking to do that, especially for auctions because the flow is so high. You know, I mean, you got to take a lot of pictures and you got to move a lot out, and then you got to keep track of a lot of shit.
Yeah, and I think we probably hit a point of diminishing return with all of our auctions that we had going. It was a lot.
Yeah, too much to where you were competing with yourself and kind of wrecking your own.
Yeah,
market.
Exactly. And that was the whole thing. It was like, man, this isn't even worth it. Nights
it's easier to wholesale them off and let go of some gems for cheaper money that are going to a pet industry supply than it would be to shoot yourself in your own ass by having auctions for that stuff on your own.
That was part of it. I mean, I say that, but it's all relative. I mean, God, I was still probably making really good money if you break it down by the hour. I mean, shoot, I was still probably making really good money, but I felt like I was doing a lot of the geckos a disservice. And,
well, yeah, because people aren't going to really treat them like anything when you're fucking auctioning them off like goddamn firearms.
Yeah, I mean, when they see you doing all those auctions, it's like when something rare comes up, they're like, "Oh, I'll get the next one." It's like, no, you won't. That'll be a year from now.
Yeah, when you throw in like one incredibly nice lily or something like that for
and it was
an
like,
auction.
You know, there were a lot of times like that when I just wished I would have put the stuff up on the website instead of auctioning.
Yeah.
But no, they definitely, I mean, they did have their place for sure. And
I think that time has kind of passed us by now, though. No.
Yeah, I don't know how they would go now.
I mean, unless you just flat out wanted to be that fucking like waffle monkey on fucking Facebook that's selling spots, you know, to raffle shit. I don't really think that auctions have much of a place in our industry right now. I think investment quality animals. What's that?
Auctions, is that what you said?
Yeah, auctions in general. I don't really think that they have a great place in our industry where we're sitting right now. I think that we've established enough value.
Well, that's it. You're not gonna. I mean, I don't think it's a great idea for like super high end stuff because why would you want to push that fast?
Right. I mean, let's just pop over to Morph Market. Oh,
dude, we were like
the example. You know,
so here's all your $400 stuff we were moving in good numbers, and it was. I mean, those auctions, that was like a $50,000-$60,000 a month thing for a while. So,
I'm sure. Look, I remember the ball python auctions and stuff on Reptile Ring with Mike Wilbanks because, like, I wouldn't do much business and I would be just kind of sitting around and, you know, not fucking doing really any real work, you know. And my ex would be like, "Are you gonna go to work?" And I'd be like, "Nah, I'll just put some stuff on Reptile Ring." And I'd put up stuff, and in a weekend, I'd do like 15 grand in auctions. And I'm like, all right, I don't need to work. You know, she's like, I mean, you know, my employee's like, man, we got 200 snakes on the rack that aren't on the website. Why the fuck aren't they on the website? I'm like, I don't feel like taking pictures of them. I don't really need to.
That was it. I mean, for me, it was like, God, taking all those pictures and then watching some of that stuff that just didn't bring much money. It would drive me crazy. But I didn't stop doing them for any particular reason other than I just needed to cut the time out somewhere. And I thought it would be good with everybody getting interested in mutations. I thought it'd be a good time to kind of nip that in the bud and like figure out some of these genes while I'm not doing auctions.
For sure. Because I mean, look at this gene list. I mean, look at this list. I mean, this list is adding up and you've got a few things that you've added to this list. So, you know, you got 59 different items listed in the itemized crested gecko listing. You got 3,510 crested geckos for sale in North America between US and Canada. It's nowhere near what the fucking ball python number is, though. I mean,
I was just wondering what the number is.
Let's go look. Let's go look. I'll just shine the light on it. Dude, you've invested in this market, by the way. I want you to know. 50,115 guys. The number went down. It's down 400 ball pythons from the last time we looked at this number the other day. So 400 of them went off the site. So that's wonderful. Dude, I mean, it's grown. But look at this morph list. And we all know that this morph list isn't accurate, that there's a bunch of redundancies here. There's a coral.
Well,
there's
that
a coral
crested
banana.
gecko list you had up a minute ago, a lot of that's pretty basic stuff.
Same as well, right? Same thoughts there behind it. Like
Some of
to
it,
go
some
down
of
this
that shit
line.
might not even be genetic. I don't know.
Well, I'm pretty sure you're probably right about that. You know, I mean, I'm pretty sure you're probably very right about that.
Let me see.
You know,
I need my glasses.
I don't want to pick on anybody in particular, you know, but like Drippy, there's 185 Drippies and only 11 het Drippies.
Yeah, and
whatever Drippy fringing,
kneecaps.
Right.
Fucking
right.
everything's got kneecaps.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you got, and some of these, I guess, if they've got
get him all those glasses, folks. Look at that.
Call it a trait.
like the
these
perfect
things on this
father of a
laptop
3-year-old.
screen are tiny.
I know, bro. I'm
So-
fucking with you. I'm fucking with you because you have a fucking under 5-year-old child. That's where I'm fucking with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna be.
And you're older than me.
graduation.
It's fine. Bro. It's fine. So you're gonna raise a smart child.
Spots, that's a Dalmatian that doesn't need its own name. I don't know.
Right. You see what I mean? Like he needs to do an ABC's morph guide to crested geckos to not.
Oh, we got.
You know,
pretty
Anthony
interesting. Vasquez, the foundation genetics.
Okay,
like, that's happening.
Yeah,
already. But yeah, so, some of that stuff, I think a lot of that's just like what you would call traits in crested geckos. I think there's going to be a lot of that, you know, kind of.
Yeah. So hey, I want to mention to people on this show because look, this is a serious fucking show here, dude. We're not doing this show for little kids. We're not doing this show for the just the regular hobbyist pet owner type people. I wanted to bring this up too. You do wholesale on your website directly out in the open with pricing and stuff. So if any of you are thinking about getting into crested and you want to swing for the fences in numbers, this is the page to come to and give this guy some business on wholesale, where he picks out your shit. And I mean, you've sent me stuff many years ago now. You've sent me stuff, and I'm about to put another big order with you here in the next couple of weeks. As soon as I I've got like 300 corn snakes on the rack, dude, and corn snakes are not selling for shit right now. I just got to move these babies off, and I'll be buying one of these groups from you. But my employee was like, please don't buy any big lots of geckos until you get rid of some of these big lots of colubrid babies. You know, so I was like, all right, Grace, because I'm trying to limit the time there. But yeah. So Anthony knows, Peggy says I wholesale geckos. And yeah, the auctions and stuff are fun for some of us. Like I go and participate in some of the isopod auctions sometimes, but I can totally tell you that they are detrimental to the market space in the grand scheme of things. So, you know, I'm kind of almost glad that that's kind of grown out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, dude.
I didn't mind them so much. It was a lot to keep up with.
It's a lot to keep up with.
And the thing was, if you're not consistently having auctions, you're not going to really have a predictable result.
No, and at that point you still won't have a predictable result, because just like the isopod.com auctions, bro, I would go there and bid on a set of high-end ones and lose them, and the very next week buy them for half the price. You know, and like,
yeah, it was all
I
over
fucks
the
things
place
up
too.
Yeah.
It was funny though. There were auctions where I'd be shocked, like people would fall in love with something that I didn't think was that great, and it ended up bringing multiples of what I expected.
And you're like, what the fuck am I thinking? So, well, dude, I really thank you so much for coming on. We've kind of shot over our mark. It's getting late for you and me both, so it's time to cut it out. But if you'd stick around for me a minute afterwards, we'll get a couple minutes to close without these folks to make them listen to the audio versions, because with those few minutes that we do before and those few minutes after is why you guys should re-listen to this when you're cleaning cages, when you're driving to work, when you're supposed to be working your medial shitty jobs that you'd rather be a guy like me or a guy like Anthony Caponetto. You need to be listening to guys like us so that you could be guys like us and ladies like us. So thank you so much, you guys, for coming in and listening to this guy who I have been around for 20 fucking years. You know? And we've not really done all that much of the same business, which is great. You know? So I hope this opens doors for you, dude. And you're like people are asking you, would you please be on my podcast, Mr. Caponetto? I really would love to have you gecko gods on my podcast. You know, because you are a gecko god, in my opinion. You and Steve Sykes, you guys, he commercialized Nephurus and leopard geckos, fat tail geckos. You've done very well with crested geckos, gargoyle geckos, carpet pythons, and now ball pythons. I would love to have Jake on at a show, and maybe the two of you on together, because we can do this with another split window where there's 3 of us, and we haven't done that fun thing yet with anything serious. So I think it'd be fun. If you're down, talk to him. We'll work it out. After the new year, we'll schedule it in.
For sure. Yeah,
put you guys on a Friday night, and we'll do a ball shit after dark. I look, listen to this. They're like, Sean just likes hitting that button.
Welcome to Ball Shit After Dark with your host, Sean Bradley.
I love that. I just love that. I love that. It came out so good. But yeah, we do After Dark on Fridays where we talk about ball pythons. We talk about ball pythons on Friday.
Yeah, we'll have to do it for sure.
On Tuesdays, we talk about shit that's not ball python. So, hey, look, Peggy, thank you so much for jumping in and participating, being a very interesting person that I'm going to have to get to know. Maybe we'll have to have Peggy on here to talk to us about running a retail reptile store / tabletop gaming shop.
You should.
/ deodorant dealership. I mean, really, right? Those kids that come in to play games, they fucking smell, right? Like, you got to have some Right Guard or some Febreze or some shit around in that reptile shop. You can't ever have some kid come in and be like, what smells in here? Well, dude, you see those kids over there playing Yu-Gi-Oh? That's what smells, buddy. It's not the snakes. It's the Yu-Gi-Oh kids that smell. You know, that's it. Quirky, thanks a lot for coming. Great show. Waiting for Off Topic Tuesday and Friday. Look, thank you so much for coming. I don't know what Off Topic Tuesday is next Tuesday. I don't even know if I have somebody, but I'll figure it out. I promise. Just like I figured this guy out. Hey, Anthony, hang around for me for just another minute or two, please. All right. Hey, look, thanks again. Anything else you want to add?
No, I'm good, man. I'm good.
Yeah, I think they loved it, dude.
That was fun.
I think they loved it. And honestly, man, that you have not done a show since probably Reptile Radio. You need to do more, because these kids are out there blowing up crested geckos on podcasts. I think I
might have done something since then. God, it's been so long.
Yeah, whatever. It's probably just, you need to do more. All right, bro. Sure. All right, well, I'm going to sit you aside while I tell these folks bye, and I'll come right back to you, Anthony. Thanks again. All right, everybody. Well, there it was. Great live show again. You know, we did some gecko shit tonight. This dude is a fucking heavy hitter. Come on. You guys are looking at people like Altitude Geckos making like fucking $500,000+ at a show. This dude has put clocks on that amount of money. I would love to talk to his accountant and ask him what his average gross business were over all these years. He's done very well for himself. He's done extremely well for the species. He's been, pivotal, in my opinion, in bringing crested geckos into commercial production and all that. And man, fucking right. This is absolutely it. Purple Church says we need a dry mark-on guy for one of the Tuesdays. Why don't you find me somebody that you consider an absolute authority in dry mark-on in indigo snakes and stuff, and we'll talk to them. We'll chat them up. How about that? I'm open to suggestions, guys. So please keep coming back with this shit. Jana, I really am looking forward to having you on Friday. I really don't need to make fun of you about the show, about the 15 minutes of lame thing. I think it's great that you guys are all participating the way you are. I think your little infighting is really cute. Your little games you're playing with each other and your little fucking antics. I don't know. I'm not saying that it's not worth it, but it's definitely entertaining. So thank you so much for going to the lengths you've gone to win this fucking competition. I'm pretty sure you're probably going to win, Jana. And are the assistants welcome on your podcast? I don't know what you meant by that. Assistants. Who are we talking about, Jana? And yeah, I'm sure they will be allowed. Anybody could be. If you want somebody to come on with you, if you want Jessica to come on, that's fine. We can do like a little. We can shove like Jessica down in the corner, like a little picture down in the bottom, which is like a little, commentary. Tell us when we're both being cunts, So hey guys, this is the Hold Back Rack podcast. Yeah, boobs. We don't really highlight the boobs so much on this show. If we're highlighting boobs, it's because you probably earned with them or something. I don't really know. I mean, I don't really, otherwise the boob tube is not this particular show. But yeah, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to get back to this dude in the green room and finish off the last couple minutes. I thank you a lot for coming. And thank you all your sponsors. Thanks to the Patreon guys. Again, shout out to McGrail and to fuck, man. Stone Age ball pythons. Stone Age ball pythons and McGrail for the great Patreon, as well as Chris Dinkin, Sam Haggard, and Richard Crowell. Thank you guys a lot. Anybody else that wants to go, check it out. Ballshit.com. Well, Ballshit, BALLSHT on Patreon, and you don't get anything. Like, you really don't get anything. You just pay me for doing all this work for you, for bringing you this great free shit. And that's it. And join me Friday for the Holdback Rack After Dark. All right, guys. See you Friday. Take it easy. I will be signing out. Thanks.